Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the VIS Challenger League as we are kicking off the second week of group stages. I'm your host, Dragonborn. Joining me tonight's the Nominee and Tasty Bacon, our casters to help break down each match. And we've got a lot of exciting matchups to get in store. Guys, the group play kind of wraps up this week as we get into playoffs here already. The second split is getting close to halfway finish, and it's been a pretty exciting start so far. Surprising results as well.
Yeah, it has been, and as always, Dragon, thanks for having us back again. We do have some pretty exciting matches going on today. Obviously, we will be starting with Echo Fox, and that is one of the teams that just dropped down from the Vainglory 8, so we definitely know this is a top-tier team, as well as picking up Selena Gomez off of Tempo Storm, so maybe looking to bring a little bit more lane aggression to the table.
Yeah, some exciting matches, this one specifically, but we're going to go and take a quick recap to see how we got to where we are going into week 2 here, as already a lot of massive changes in store for us over the next couple of days. Let's take a look.
Hello and welcome to the VIS Challengers Recap. It's a new split, and that means a reset of the Challenger Series, where 32 teams will be looking to battle it out for the top spot. Unfortunately, there's no Vainglory 8 spot on the line this split, but that doesn't mean there's nothing to fight for, as the top team from the VIS Challengers will earn a trip to Unified Live Championship to fight in the Challenger Cup against the best VGL Challengers team from Europe. Week 1 is always an important set of matches, especially for the top-seeded teams, as they will be looking to rebound from their unsuccessful Challenge Battles matchups. Echo Fox was the number 1 seed coming into the week, having finished just outside of the Vainglory 8 in those Challenge Battles. They showcased why they deserve that seeding as well, as they made quick work of their first 2 opponents, the Last Rangers and the 17th seeded Unity. With Yazoo returning to the starting lineup, the team didn't miss a beat, and it was business as usual as they cruised into the third round with back-to-back 2-0 victories.
This is likely to be game Kraken still working on these turrets, but Dito will fall to Salada. We're going to try and get onto the Sanctuary. Doesn't want to walk into the portal, and that's going to be their death. An ace for Echo.
Another team that was looking to rebound after a very underwhelming challenge battles was Tribe Gaming. Without picking up a single win against the bottom 3 Vainglory 8 teams, there were questions about the mentality of this team, their synergy, and their drive to perform coming into this split of challengers. The team looked to be in much better spirits than we last saw them, as they handled both Team TAS and Autumn Leap rather cleanly, with Mixi, Status, and E36 all performing well. Tribe Gaming cannot afford to get complacent, however, as those were teams that they were expected to outperform. Their first real test will come next week when they face up against the 6th seed Nova Challengers, who looked like a dominant force in their first couple of matches.
BlueStack's doing a good job using the Shatter Glass to push the advantage of the enemy not having much crystal defense yet. But as the game goes on, that's going to change very rapidly. And man, this fight's breaking out super quick.
Big fight, the big knock-up stun from Tribe, and that's going to be the first kill onto Timbo. BlueStacks will get stunned up from a from health.
While Echo Fox and Tribe Gaming made it into the third round of the winner's bracket with ease, the same cannot be said for the number 2 seed NRG. While many had this squad as one of the teams that would remain in the Vainglory 8, they have recently begun to struggle much more than anticipated. With a starting lineup that is suddenly in flux, NRG made use of their entire roster and are even now looking to add to that roster. There will be lots of questions for this team going forward, as while they do remain in the winner's bracket, it required the full 3-game set in each of their first 2 series. With only 8 teams left in the winner's bracket, the competition is only going to ramp up even further, and Energy will have to step up in a big way if they want to represent North America in the Challengers Cup.
T there didn't even care if he found damage onto the enemy. He was chunking out the turret so heavily, and man, Juan caught super far in, takes the portal. Oh man,
Juan just got caught 1v3, found a kill, stayed alive.
Week 1 was an overall successful week for the top-seeded teams, with one very notable exception. Misfits, seeded 4th overall, were defeated in their second-round matchup by the 13th seed Tilt Rehab, and will now have to fight their way through the elimination bracket. Another notable performance was Vision Gaming, seeded 5th, as they also looked incredibly dominant in their first rounds of play and could be a contender as we head closer to the playoffs.
Wow, so an exciting week 1 so far, guys, as we just saw a little quick recap of Group A and Group B. A lot of great teams in both those groups, and we're going to be highlighting for most of these next couple days the teams still left in the winner's bracket, but we will be taking at least one series each day down to elimination round as we get near the end of this stream, so you guys are not going to miss that. We've got some big upsets that happened. You saw Misfits did get knocked down. Kind of surprising, and actually our second game, we'll be highlighting that matchup as Tilted Rehab kind of coming out of nowhere. A lot to talk about there, but let's get into our matchup that we have going today, right now. This first matchup, Echo Fox versus Intensity VG. To nominate, this is a team, Intensity, that has really played well in Challengers every single split. They've just found ways to make incremental improvements, and now they're up against Echo Fox, which is really looking to make a big impact. Now, there is one thing that's not noted here is the Selena Gomez update to the roster, recently added right at the deadline lock this weekend. This actually, I'm just looking at the roster now. Selena Gomez is playing day. What kind of impact is this going to have on today's matches?
Selena definitely brings a very aggressive play style to what will very likely be the lane, with Irwin playing in the jungle. But, looking over at this Intensity lineup, Kaz now looking like he's moving into more of that starter position, which we really discussed last season. They had a huge performance against Immortals and actually took games off of Immortals, who then went on to make it into the VG8. So this being a team that has dropped down from the VG8, this might be a very close game, and it's definitely gonna be an exciting one to watch. We know this team can compete at the highest, one of the highest levels when they do have their A game on, but it's gonna be about consistency. Selena Gomez, Slada Irwin, they're overall pretty consistent players, and it proves it coming in here into the number 1 seed. So. Should be exciting moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, when we start taking players that have been in this for a long time, you start to see that just the maturity that comes into it. So I'm really excited to see how this Selena Gomez meshes with this team. We're actually getting into the draft right now, everybody. So don't want to hold you up any longer. Let's kick it over. I'm kicking it over to you and Tasty to take us away.
All right, and the first ban does come out of Echo Fox. They take that Grace off the table very, very quickly. Maybe looking to secure a Baron pickup, unless if it is banned away by Intensity, but that would also leave the Lyra on the table if they banned away the Baron.
Yeah, so they are going to go ahead and take the Lyra away, which does leave Baron open, but they can always go for something like a Catherine Idris to counter a Baron if that does come out. It's going to be Catherine actually first picked here for Echo Fox. So they're likely would love to get the Batiste, but it's not going to be available as it gets taken away immediately. The Catherine Batiste is just such a strong duo, but now with Glaive coming through, they're not going to go for Baron at all. This is a big opportunity if Echo Fox want to take that Baron themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge opportunity. Overall, Batiste is very squishy. He just does have the ability to sustain throughout a fight due to his heroic perk, that Reap. But it is going to be a Vox pickup, and Vox is a very flexible pick here, so he has a lot of mobility that he brings to the table. Obviously, on a Vox opposed to a Baron, we'll have that Poison Shiv available, as well as probably a Breaking Point, so looking to scale up over the fights. And it actually looks like we're going to have a Jungle Celeste come out of Irwin here, which I think Celeste can handle really well into Batiste. Anybody that really just outranges him does a good job. He has a lot of burst AoE potential, but in the early game, if you can outrange him, you can really prevent him from being able to snowball. So this is going to be an interesting match. We could flex the Batiste into the captain position, but it does look like they are looking at picking up the Arden instead. So definitely a range advantage for the side of Fox, and we know once Celeste hits that level 8, she really takes off.
All right, so with the draft finish, we will be getting on in to game number 1 of the night, Echo Fox versus Intensity. It should be an intense matchup, as Echo Fox with the new addition Selena Gomez is going to be looking to put on a show and get a lot of momentum under their belts going forward with this new addition.
Definitely, and Selena is a very proficient laner. He plays a lot of heroes in the lane, particularly excels on the Kestrel, the Vox, and the Ringo, so this is one of the heroes that he does better on. Going into a glaive, a Vox can struggle a little bit, especially if a rotation comes up. We'll have the Afterburn, obviously. The Vanguard will provide a little additional slow, as well as the Baptiste Ordain will come out. So it's going to be about Selena playing careful, letting Irwin get to that level 8 on Celeste, getting those Heliogenesis overdriven so that you get that bonus 2 range and can really poke out the lineup that Intensity has here.
All right, well, as we get on into this one and take a look at the first items purchased, nothing too terribly surprising other than the fact that Trinity went for some armor as the first item against Vox. Typically, a lot of laners like to go for a shield instead of the armor because your really only damage threat in the early game from a Vox is going to be those resonance bounces, and the shield works a little bit better at diminishing that damage, but with a Book of Eulogies should be just fine to sustain up in this lane and not really have too many issues. It's this early game jungle skirmish that is going to be interesting as Kaz makes his way over. Ancient Treant getting worked on. Treant is going to be secured there by Echo Fox, and not really much of a fight to come afterwards by the side of Intensity. Kaz recognizing that the timing of it was not going to be very advantageous with the healing that Irwin was going to have. It just wasn't worth trying to stick around. So smart decision to back off, but early recall in the lane from Selena.
Early recall, making sure he can get some purchases in. The lane is pushed, so he's not really at risk of losing anything. I do like that Kaz backed off there just because obviously Irwin had hit level 2 and Slata had his Merciless Pursuit available, so the healing that Irwin was going to get back from the Treant combined with the chain stun would have very likely spelled doom for this Baptiste, who does not really have any good spammable abilities here in the early game. Obviously the Bad Mojo on a 5-second cooldown right now.
Very spammable ability as, again, the Ancient Treant is going to be worked on. Slata takes a little bit of damage, isn't going to get stunned up by the Ordain, but will take a nice burst of damage from an empowered Bad Mojo. That's one of the beautiful things about a Baptiste early game is even when you get that empowered, the Bad Mojo is still going to hurt no matter who you're up against. And but Irwin being patient and taking the time now that Kaz started to move away to work on this Treant, but Kaz returns and is not going to get that Treant. The Ordain's not doing enough damage. So Irwin walks away with another Ancient Treant in his belt.
Yeah, and as this game goes on, Slata should be able to really frontline some of the damage that Baptiste was able to put out, as well as reflect some of that damage back at his enemies. So, definitely the Catherine first pickup was smart with the bans that we had. It also prevents, an Idris pick coming out, just because Catherine handles so well into Idris in general. Sitting at a slight gold advantage for Irwin in the jungle. That's very likely due to the Treants that went over to him. And the lane matchup is pretty close. A little bit of a lead for PvP Trinity, but, as Selena clears up this wave, it'll start to neutralize out a little bit. Not a whole lot, though. There's definitely a slight advantage for Trinity.
Well, for now, Trinity is just going to be continuing to farm up pretty safely. And once a couple more waves go by, it's going to have enough gold for that first item, going for likely the Sorrow Blade completion. Meanwhile, Selena is just continuing to work towards that Poison Shiv. I believe actually has enough gold for it now, but we'll obviously just need to find an opportunity to get to the shop. And then a very passive game thus far. Neither of these teams really putting a lot of pressure on each other, either in the lane or in the jungle. Like, the only slight skirmishes we had were over the Ancient Treant, and that's really about it. Which is very surprising considering you have a glaive on your team. You can make engagements happen. You can force engagements in the lane, and they just haven't really tried to do that at all. As of right now, Fox is going to steal away this Treant. They're going to be finding Plot here as he rotated down just to take a look at where the enemy team went. He's going to have to use his fountain to keep himself alive. And that is not a good sign for the side of Intensity. Is if Echo Fox want, they can really try and abuse this by putting some big pressure into the lane.
They can. The lane is pushed up a little bit, but the entire team of Intensity is here ready to go. I do like that Trinity is going for... Oh, hold on a second.
And that's going to be them looking for Slata, but Slata survives, and they're able to send a lot of damage right back out. Very kind of surprising that Intensity would even go for that, knowing that their fountain is down. Slata actually held onto his still even through that, so they're not really going to be bothered by that engagement attempt, and it's just going to be, once more, some recalls, some items being purchased. Still no tier 3 items. Selena hasn't gone to the shop just yet. Actually went down into the jungle along with Irwin. So sitting on 2.3k gold, really needs to get down to a shop to be able to stay even with the item spikes, because Trinity just got the Sorrow Blade.
Yeah, and again, I do like the Sorrow Blade that he's gone for due to this squishy composition that is set up. A good Fearsome Shade solos Slata out. And, you know, this is what I'm talking about. You know, we typically see the Poison Shiv or the Tension Bow come out first on Glaive. Going with the Sorrow Blade first, it really brings his damage spike up as opposed to maybe as much sustain. As he hits level 6, he will get the passive healing from his Bloodsong, the stacks. So he will still have a bit of sustain, but he'll, more importantly, have the damage to, when he engages on Irwin, he should be able to find a huge chunk of Irwin's health right here in the early game with just one Sorrow Blade.
Yeah, it's going to be very important, but Selena did go back, actually picked up the Poison Shiv, and almost got the Tension Bow completed as well. Can very likely just rotate down and pick that up if need be, but again, Echo Fox going to be putting a lot of this gold onto Selena and Irwin, as they're going to go through, take out these backs of the jungle together once more. And the side of Intensity have not been doing this at all, so there should actually be a lead for Selena, but because the Trinity has been doing such a good job of farming, that's actually not really the case in terms of CS. But you look at the itemization, because the 2 items that Selena's going for were cheap, does have 2 tier 3s. Selena's going to get jumped on here. Beautiful afterburn will set up the kill. And that is now the 2nd kill that Intensity have been able to pick up.
The 2nd kill and a good afterburn that actually punted Selena Gomez through the Ordain, taking a little bit of extra burst damage. A good Vanguard from Plot was able to keep PvP Trinity in range to finish off the kill. The Arden actually was the one to secure it, but Trinity was able to get the damage down, and now Fox is looking to come down and contest his gold mine.
And the gold mine is going to go over, and so that's a nice little gold payout in favor of Intensity, as Fox was not able to steal it away. Selena Gomez, like I said, has 2 tier 3 items completed, so that's going to be a nice, you know, burst of damage, especially with the Tension Bow completed. But PvP Trinity, you look at the CS numbers, 87 to 68, has been doing a phenomenal job, as well as getting those 2 assists for the team. And is going to be getting towards that Poison Shiv himself, it looks like, and also has the reflex block. So while it doesn't have the 2 tier 3 offensive items, it does still have very solid itemization at this stage of the game.
It absolutely does, especially working into the Clockwork will give him a bit of bonus crystal power because he has the Shatterglass complete, as well as get those bad mojos and Ordained up a little more frequently, and really be able to spam that damage that we know Baptiste can do.
So with Echo Fox pushing up in the lane, an early infusion purchased here by Trinity. It's going to be a level 7 infusion now coming in. They're going to look for the afterburn. Irwin is not going to get knocked back, but it doesn't matter. It's enough for a kill. Now they turn their attention onto Selena and Slata. Not going to find enough for a 2nd kill here, but with Selena going back, Slata going low, perhaps they can push in onto this turret. I don't know if they'll have enough to take it, but they can at least get a lot of damage on it, especially with Kaz throwing a 520 bad mojo. That will allow them to take that turret down. Nice job with this pressure by Intensity.
Yeah, and, you know, realistically, this is how this game should be going. Intensity should be ahead in the early game. They have the Baptiste, they have the Arden, they have the Glaive. Celeste and Vox really take a little bit of time to come online, so you know, we do have Irwin on this level 9 Celeste now. He has the additional range, as well as Selena Gomez is working towards that breaking point. So the damage that Fox has to bring to the table is going to start to ramp up very, very quickly here.
This ramp up is going to be needed for Echo Fox with the breaking point now completed. That's the full offensive build for Selena. He just needs to be careful of getting instantly popped, which it's surprising to me that there really isn't much defense just yet on anyone for Echo Fox aside from Slada when there is a glaive on the opposing team, because that's so much damage that comes out and you put you right into range of the Batiste, who's all about burst as well. So if Trinity can time the afterburns with Cos getting those soul shards, they can just instantly blow up one of these two targets, and we've seen them try and do that a couple of times. They're going to come work on the gold miner here. Gold mine's going to be going down low, but here comes Echo Fox looking to contest. A nice blast tremor is going to put Entity low. They are going to have the gold mine stolen away from them, and they have to run. That was a risky call to go for the gold mine there, and it did not pay off.
Yeah, definitely want to get at least one kill before you try to go for that gold mine. The entire side of Fox knew what was going on, rotated down, was able to secure the gold mine. No kills, but getting that gold mine, has reduced this gold lead now to just a little over 1,000.
1,000 gold lead is nice, but they're going to have to increase that if they want to find the victory. As again, Echo Fox, the later this goes, the stronger they're going to become. Once Irwin gets that broken myth online, which he just did, that's a big power spike for the Celeste, and they can start to turn fights in their favor. As long as they can block the afterburn, all three members have a reflex block, and there's a crucible available as well. So it's definitely going to be a difficult situation. If these afterburns get blocked, you are ordained and you can be blocked, so can the fearsome shade. A lot of this can be dealt with now on the side of Echo Fox, as long as they look for fights when they're not at a disadvantageous position, and then they can start winning these team fights and turning the game back in their favor.
It definitely can, and the pressure is going to start to come out for Fox here, especially with that broken myth completed now. Irwin will be working into very likely an Eve next. Celeste not really going to prioritize any very much defense, at least here in the early game. Slada is going to attempt to get out here. Fearsome Shade does come out, is not blocked, but here's Selena Gomez and Irwin are, and look at the damage.
Massive damage. They're going to find one kill, but with both Selena and Slada low, perhaps Cos can try and turn this around, but doesn't want to. Irwin was stacking up and dealing a ton of damage, and all of a sudden now Echo Fox, they only got one kill off of that, but the momentum can start to be felt shifting away from Intensity. After a great start to this game, they really need to be careful that they don't let it slip through their fingers.
Yeah, and getting a kill back over onto the side of Fox is definitely huge. It not a huge bounty with as low the kills are so far in this 13-minute game. Only 4 kills total. This gold lead's still sitting around 1,500 for Intensity, but they need to find fights here before Celeste really takes off, because it is a triple melee composition. So if you take the splash damage from some supernova heliogenicide, then it's not going to be pretty for you.
Could be looking for a fight here. They're grouped up aggressively towards the side of Echo Fox, but they need to be careful if they don't end up fighting by that crystal sentry. That can easily turn a fight that starts off strong away from your advantage. And instead, they're just going to back up to the lane. Some really good vision battles going on right now. These scout traps from each team getting placed and popped pretty frequently. Just trying to keep tabs on where their opponents are as they rotate around the map.
Yeah, and Fox really going to be looking to take an advantage here. If they can win just one fight and pick up an ace, they should really be able to push a lot out of it. Intensity is going for this gold mine again, and this is pretty risky here. They do secure it thanks to a good fearsome shade, but again, it's we're still sitting around 1,000, 2,000 gold lead. Slada building up stacks, really going to be able to tank up those bad mojos, and now PvP Trinity is forced to recall here because he's now so low. Actually, it looks like he's going to stay, and this is super risky with Celeste having her Solar Storm available to her.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Slada thought about trying to go in and looking for that stun, but the Ordained is going to come out. It's going to be a brief stun, Not really too much that's going to cost Echo Fox. They can still stick around. Another Ordained on the Selena. The Gauntlet gets canceled, though. That's a big Solar Storm that just takes out Plot. Selena is going to go low, but they're still sticking around. Selena's going to get caught a little bit too aggressive with that movement. Irwin in the Ordained will get dropped by Kaz. You have to respect the damage from a Batiste, but now Selena Gomez is starting to run wild, doing a lot of damage. Finds one kill, finds the second. That's an ace. And with Selena being the only member left, doesn't matter. There's a couple ace buff minions here and another wave coming. Selena should be able to take this turret down.
Definitely should. And like I said, if Fox can find one clean fight, they should be able to take a lot out of it. They got 2 turrets to back up that ace. And Selena was maybe looking to get a treant there, but it is not ready. Up and there it pops up. So that's going to be a little bit of the jungle going on over to Fox. And just like that, that 2,000 gold lead that Intensity had is now sitting, actually 500 in deficit for them. So definitely a good fight for Fox, and this is where the game should really start to turn around.
All right, so 4-5 now, but with 2 turrets taken for Echo Fox, just 1 that Intensity has been able to pick up. And like I said, the gold has now actually swung in favor of Echo Fox. It's a small amount, but it is still enough. With both of those scaling items online, they're going to be doing so much work in these fights as long as they don't get bursted. And a few defensive items are going to be helping to prevent that. Cause getting caught a little bit. Selena's going to give chase. Now they can try and turn this around. That's going to be the Oblivion, or the Ordained, sorry, along with the Fearsome Shade. But the block comes out so Selena doesn't get stunned. And they can kind of reset a bit here. Both Wait For It and Fearsome Shade were used in that little trade, but those should both be back up before we have another major fight.
Yeah, a little unfortunate for Fox there. They didn't see that Intensity was recalling with the Celeste. They probably could have taken a crack in there, to be honest with you. Selena looking to get this treant just to top his health off a little bit. And Irwin, about 1,000 gold shy here on the Eve of Harvest will definitely allow him to sustain a little bit better through these fights, as well as keep his energy management high. It's going to be all about the positioning of Intensity here. If they can dive and pick off a target, then they should be able to do well. But if Celeste is allowed to poke out both Kaz and Glaive, then it's going to be pretty difficult to win a fight here. You really have to engage heavily on this comp that Fox has put together.
Well, with this positioning here, Trinity's far forward. Selena's going to be going in, gets a stun onto Plot. Plot's going to get the gauntlet down. That does split the team quite a bit. Irwin on the wrong side of this, but Trinity's diving straight on through. Seems like a big mistake. They're going to be going low. Plot and Irwin both extremely low, but Selena Gomez is just starting to mow through the team. Those breaking point stacks up to 18 now as he finds a second kill. Meanwhile, there is a Trinity now just kind of stuck underneath down here, but it's only going to be Selena there to try and take him out, as Selena Gomez and Irwin not really wanting to get too close. Selena Gomez is going to come in now. The stun comes through. That will be the triple kill and the ace for Selena. Wow, that was just so strange that they got the gauntlet down, split Irwin away from the team, and then instead of focusing Selena, who was right there, they went diving so far to try and take Irwin out.
Yes, Irwin does have the range to potentially poke out after the Fearsome Shade did come out. So it was a little bit risky either way, but overall I just I didn't like that Intensity split so hard. If they were going to pick a fight, they needed to focus their damage on one target, particularly Selena, like you said, because he was really just trapped in the middle of it. Glaive did go down and look to pick up a quick kill onto Irwin, but a good stun coming out of Slater was able to save his life. The chain stun obviously coming through with the core collapse was perfectly timed. It gave Irwin a chance to get out, and just like that, Fox finds another ace and a Kraken, and are now marching down the lane. But man, Selena getting a little too far ahead of himself and is going to drop here. So that's a little bit not good for them, but Irwin does find a very good Solar Storm, actually.
Irwin is stuck in the middle of that gauntlet, though, is going to go down. That's 2 kills picked up by Intensity. They will be able to stop this Kraken, but their base is now vulnerable as that choke point turret has fallen. Kraken is going to not be able to take the first of the crystal turrets, but
And seemed like a bit of a misstep there from the side of Echo Fox. And we see it all the time where a team will get Kraken, start pushing with Kraken, and just make a really serious mistake while pushing with the Kraken. I'm not sure what it is, but teams just seem to play a lot looser when they have a Kraken pushing with them.
They do indeed, and particularly there, Selena Gomez caught way out of position. The team nowhere near able to help at all, and actually taking down the Crystal Sentry. The Crystal Sentry actually spawned in the base and helped the side of Intensity kill that Kraken.
All right, so with now their backs against the wall a bit, it feels like Intensity, they actually have a bit of a gold lead now, again, because of that Kraken, but they're definitely still have their work cut out for them. Echo Fox is at this late game stage where they can just do so much damage. Irwin finishes off the Eve of Harvest. That's going to make him an even more difficult target to get onto. He already was able to stay very far away from the rest of the team, but now he's going to be able to survive a little bit longer if they do try and jump onto him. So this is... for Intensity, they really need to find a pick. They need to, when they go in for a fight, just look for one target and try and take them out immediately. You can't split your focus whatsoever, or you will end up losing the fight.
Absolutely, and if Selena is playing the front line as he did in that last particular fight, and then was sitting in the enemy's tri-bush himself, it's definitely an opportunity that Intensity can capitalize on. But again, less poke range, if Fox does fight properly as a team, it should be able to zone out the low range of Intensity. So it's all going to be about Irwin at this point. Selena can scale up and get a lot of damage down, but Irwin is almost like a protector in the sense that the zoning from the Heliogenesis will, be an assistance to keep Selena alive.
All right, so now with everyone on the side of Intensity moving up, you can see how many scout traps have been put down by Slada with this contraption. They have vision pretty much wherever Intensity goes if they are not on their own side of the map. Except for around the Kraken, Intensity has done a good job of clearing that vision out in particular. It's very important to make sure you clear out that vision, but it's still going to create an opportunity for them perhaps. But now they push in, they're going to get spotted by the scout trap, but the gauntlet goes down anyway. They're right onto Irwin. Irwin has dropped immediately. Now they can turn their attention onto Slada and Selena, but they're able to kite pretty well. If they can't get a stun onto Selena, this could be trouble. The Ordained comes out, and Selena is going to be falling, very likely. A nice afterburn will set to his demise, and that is going to be Intensity winning a team fight late in this game. Kraken is looming.
Kraken is ready to go, and Intensity with a great use of War Treads to get into the lane, find the Celeste out of position, was absolutely perfect. Irwin has now completed the Eve and is infused. Going to be interesting to see what he purchases with this 800 gold that he has now. He could go into a second Pierce here, which would help them really take down the Kraken as it marches down the lane. But if we look at the damage that's already on the turret here in the base of Intensity, if they lose a fight with this Kraken, it's very likely going to result in Fox marching down the lane and just cleaning it up. The Celeste does so much objective damage as well as team damage that it shouldn't be a contest. So Intensity has to play this safe.
All right, turret destroyed. Just the choke point turret remaining between them and the base of Echo Fox. Intensity looking to create this upset possibility. It's just game one of a best of three. Slada is going to be the front line as they work on taking this Kraken down. Intensity, they need to get some extra damage on this turret. Help Kraken out, get into that base. They want to look for a fight. That's going to be the empowered Bad Mojo able to help take that turret down. And now they're going in looking for it. They're going to get the gauntlet down. Slada gets stuck inside. A nice afterburn, but it's actually going to block the stun that would have come out from the gauntlet. Excellent reflexes there by Slada and Irwin to use those cooldowns. And that is just going to be now them backing away, but we are even on turrets suddenly. And Intensity, they are very much still in this game.
They are, and again, this is a team, they did lose Shaded Talent, I believe, who was on their team before, so playing with 2/3 of their old roster, but this is a team that was able to take games off of Immortals, who is a team that did make it into the Vainglory 8. So again, when when Intensity does find their fights and they pick smart fights, they are definitely a team that can compete here in the VG8 and could potentially take Fox down despite that number 1 seed, swiveling around their head.
All right, so Intensity, their infusion up once more. Perhaps look for another fight. We're getting so late in this game, 25 minutes in, that next team fight, if it's decisive one way or the other, should be the last one. Oh, they're on opposite sides of the fold now. There's going to be a skirmish here. No matter what, that's going to be Gauntlet going down. A beautiful afterward will stun Irwin up. That's going to be an Ordained stunning him as well, but they just can't quite find the kill just yet. They're still chasing him down, but a huge Solar Storm will turn this around. A double kill, make it a triple, and Irwin may have just won Echo Fox the game.
He indeed might have, and this is going to be Fox marching down the lane now. Again, Celeste should be able to absolutely no problem take out these turrets, and with 45-second death timers, I don't think there will be any contest for Fox to close out game number 1 against Intensity.
All right, so excellent game. Intensity fought this extremely well, but unfortunately not quite able to get that kill. They got Irwin so low, and they had him stunned so much. The constant stuns, an afterburn into a Gauntlet, into an Ordained, and they just still were not able to actually solidify that kill. You got to figure if Irwin goes down there, that's going to be team fight and game going to Intensity. It was that close for them taking game number 1. Game number 2 should be just as thrilling.
I think you could say that it's a pretty intense series. All right, enough with the jokes though, but like this is really impressive to see Intensity play this well against Echo Fox, especially considering Echo Fox looked to very much try to strengthen their roster with the pickup of Selena Gomez.
Yeah, and he had a pretty decent performance here, got caught out a couple times, maybe need to work on the communication with the team a little bit, but that's going to come in time, being new to the roster. Overall, they were able to find that last fight, a 26-minute game. The late game Celeste was just such a monster here from Irwin that, they were able to find a clean ace and push right down the lane.
Yeah, it was really strange. Intensity, early game, putting a lot of damage, but they just really struggled to, just focus the damage onto one member of Echo Fox. We saw, multiple times where Irwin or Selena would live way longer than they probably should have up against the kind of damage you'd expect to see. PvP, Trinity struggled after the first Afterburn to stay on his target, and that was a little bit of a problem that last matchup. A lot of good damage early. I actually liked the gauntlet that was applied, trying to reposition the entire fight, but unfortunately not able to get the kill at the end of the game when it mattered the most. So what that means is we are going to go to a game number 2 with Echo Fox in the lead, and I think we can all say that this is now going to be becoming a little bit more bleak for a team that honestly looked really good. I think one thing that's also worth mentioning though is Selena Gomez on Vox. This is a hero that historically he has played in competitive scenes. I mean, this is definitely also a comfort pick for him. I'd really like to see if he could show up and play as consistently as he did in Game 1 on a much wider range of heroes, as we really haven't gotten a chance to focus and see Selena Gomez's performance as of yet here in the Challengers.
Yeah, again, he did drop down off of Tempo Storm. So, he's been in the VG8, made it to the VG8, has that potential. It's going to be about building synergy with the team here. And again, Intensity has looked so good. Even in that last game, they did struggle to find a couple fights that probably should have went their way. But, overall, they had a really good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a close game, guys. And what that means is we're going into game number 2 with an equally close matchup in front of us. Guys, this is actually ready to get started. Echo Fox is up to up 1 game apiece. Let's get right into the draft as I'm going to kick it over to you and Tasty Bacon to nominate. What do we got so far?
Well, it looks like Intensity might be preparing themselves to ban away a Catherine. They do switch over to the Grace at the last second. Catherine is a fairly strong pick right now, especially with the Uprise in Echo, as well as the Baptiste-Catherine combination can be so devastating. There's just so much crowd control to block. So the Catherine does come off the table from Fox here. That leaves both the Baron and the Lyra available.
Yeah, I mean, Lyra, when we see Grace Band and the Catherine coming out from Echo Fox, Lyra's a natural pick here and a very safe pick. It does mean, though, I really suspect Echo Fox will take the Vox here. I think Selena Gomez is just very comfortable in that hero, and Vox is a very strong laner right now and is usually picked first, with only really Idris or Baron being, heroes that you like to play into it. We'll have to see if that's the case. Selena Gomez taking some time, but no surprise, Vox comes out.
Vox does come out, and it looks like they may be picking up a Baptiste here, which is a potential flex pick. It could be moved down into the captain position if they feel the draft has gone that way. So definitely a strong pickup here, especially not wanting to give over the Lyra and Baptiste together, functioning very similarly to the Catherine Baptiste. It's not as much as the crowd control block, as much as the Baptiste really has a much bigger ability to be a frontline hero, despite not building as much defense.
It's a little surprising to me that neither of these teams are going to be taking this Baron 2 games in a row now. That Baron's just kind of left open and not being touched. But it is going to be an Idris pick here for intensity. Idris is one of these heroes that can dive onto backlines incredibly well. It can be used as a really nice counter to a Baptiste. You're able to use your ultimate to avoid, well, you still technically get stunned, but you're stunned while you're invulnerable. So it really doesn't actually have much of an effect on you. So the Kestrel as well going to come through, can outrange a Baptiste, which is a really nice facet to have on your team when going up against that hero.
Yeah, and that's really how you have to win against a Baptiste, is to outpoke him. But again, the Baptiste has been moved now into that flexible captain position. So that's going to be Slada playing the Captain Baptiste and Irwin on the Celeste again. So we actually have both the carries are the same here on Fox. We have the Vox and the Celeste ready to go here. Again, it's going to be all about Celeste making it to the late game, getting that increased poke range, and, getting a particular third item. Once we get the Broken Myth, she really starts to take off, but the Eve is really going to be what's going to help her sustain that poke.
All right, so as we get on into this one, game number 2, Echo Fox is currently up 1-0. We'll see if they're going to be able to close this series out, or will intensity make it a 3-game set? As everyone makes their way onto the full denominator, it's going to be definitely a interesting matchup with Slada running the Captain Baptiste. You're very likely going to go for that Echo. The double Fearsome Shade can really turn a fight in a hurry.
Yeah, especially if PvP Trinity does dive on this Idris. He'll obviously want to throw out the Chakram, get the dive in, and try to get some damage down. That's going to make him very, very vulnerable to an Ordained drop. So he can use the Shimmer Strike to kind of protect himself if he is Ordained and there's a target, within those bounds. But it's going to be risky.
It's going to be risky, but the risks are going to have some pretty high rewards if they can pull it off. So right now, looking at the jungle, it's again Irwin going to be moving towards the Ancient Treant, is not going to be actually contesting it. And so Kaz, he didn't see the recall happen, but seeing nobody here, he's going to go ahead and start this up. That'll be a free Treant going over to the side of Intensity. Meanwhile, in the lane, it is going to be Trinity once again, going for the armor with the Book of Eulogies. So just going to look to sustain through the early game and get those items online as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and we'll very likely see like a Sorrow Blade, Poison Shiv, Tension Bow build come out of Trinity. It is very bursty, but it's going to be all about getting to the targets. And if Irwin's able to do a good job zoning out with the Heliogenesis, then it's going to make it really difficult for PvP Trinity to engage if the Celeste is forced back by that zoning.
Well, with Celeste in the jungle, once again, Irwin, we saw just how strong it can be and how integral it is to the composition of Echo Fox in game number 1. But right now, they're going to be getting a lot of damage on the Plot. Plot has nowhere to go and is going to be falling first blood to Echo Fox. Excellent rotation from Irwin, and they were able to take down that captain.
Yeah, and that's going to be a first blood bounty going on to Selena Gomez that's going to accelerate this already cheap build that Vox has on his hands. Obviously going to go that Poison Ship, Tension Bow, Breaking Point build. So Vox will start to come online a couple hundred gold sooner, especially if he's able to find a little bit more of an advantage. Plot does come up and restores the missing health that Trinity had taken from Selena Gomez and Slata. And Slata looking to get a lot of damage down. Those Ordains and Bad Mojos do a lot of damage when you have your heroic perk popped, despite having no crystal power. Even in this early game, Slata on his own can really probably 1v1 anybody on intensity right now.
Yeah, maybe not Kaz, just because the burst damage is going to be pretty massive. As you're going to see here, a couple of Glimmer shots take him extremely low, very nearly getting a kill with that chakram, but not quite going to be enough damage to take him down. So Slata is now going to be having to recall, but he wants to stick around for this extra gold as Selena farms this wave that gets pushed into the turret, but he has to be so careful. One chakram very nearly hits him, and likely could have taken him out. So instead, he is going to be able to stick around for a little bit longer, wanting to provide some support for Selena. Selena's going to get in trouble. That's going to be Bad Mojos getting thrown out. Lots of damage being dished out onto Trinity, but obviously Plot is here, will be able to throw down a Sigil, but with Kaz rotating up, they may look to try and turn this, although Selena is still very healthy. Kaz doesn't have a lot of energy. Sigil is going to heal up Trinity, and everyone looks to be backing away.
Yeah, and again, that's really what Lyra provides here in the early game, is Trinity did take a lot of damage there, but fortunately Plot was able to heal him back up. Kaz being so low on energy really kind of restricted the amount of engage potential they had there. But everybody makes it out safe, and there's only about a 500, 600 gold lead on the side of Fox right now.
With that small gold lead, obviously they're going to look to still push the issue. They want to take any advantages they can because they know they have a late game composition, and if you can get an early lead with a late game comp, you can really make some magic happen. But Kaz going to be dishing out a lot of damage with these Glimmer shots. Only has the 3 crystal bits, but with early game Kestrel, you still have a ton of burst potential. One shot, nicely dodged there by Echo Fox, and they're just going to be rotating around once more, avoiding any deaths, and that's really just the key for Echo Fox. As long as they don't fall too far behind in the early game, they should be able to get themselves a nice lead and very likely take this game once it goes late.
They definitely should have the opportunity. It's going to be interesting to see how Kaz really goes with the build here on the Kestrel. It might go into a double Shatterglass, is something that we've seen the top of the VG8 teams really start to migrate into, or he could go into a Shatterglass double Pierce Clockwork, which is a cheaper and much more sustainable build, but it doesn't offer quite the same early game pressure.
All right, so Selena, low on energy, not really going to be in a position to fight, but so is Kaz, which is going to be leading them to both leave the lane for a moment. Echo Fox, once again, going to be looking to have Selena and Irwin farm the jungle together, getting a little bit of extra gold onto Selena. As long as they don't really miss out on any minions in the lane, even if you miss out on 1 or 2, it's still worthwhile to get that extra gold from the jungle. And Slata's going to hold this lane in the middle so that the minions do not go underneath the turret, ensuring that Selena will not be losing much at all for this rotation to the jungle. Extremely smart play from Echo Fox to maximize gold and experience gain onto their carry.
Absolutely, especially with the silence coming out of Selena as he just now hits that level 6. Definitely doing a much better job this game keeping up in farm. He's much closer to being even with PvP Trinity. A little bit of an edge on Trinity, though, and a little bit of an edge on Kaz, but there is a 1,000 gold lead, and that just goes back into, you talked about sharing that ambient of the back jungle as well as saving the lane, and that's really where it starts to show, because, again, Kaz and Trinity are both ahead in farm, but the team is behind 1,000 gold.
Yeah, so with that gold deficit, they can still fight right now. Again, this massive damage from Kestrel will always be there and always be a threat. Selena is going to dodge out that one shot. but the pressure is there. They just need to find an opportunity to get these objective focus. It's going to be an Ordained. They're going to be the Fearsome Shade as well, but meanwhile, Trinity had gotten onto Irwin and got a lot of damage down. As a result, Fountain was used by Slada, has not been used by Plot. This is a really good chance for Intensity to look for a kill and look for some objectives, but Selena is trying to turn that around, not going to be successful, ends up falling, and this turret should be focused down. If Irwin tries to contest this, they can just dive onto him. The Ordained going to make sure that they can't dive onto him, but the turret goes down regardless, and now Trinity took a step forward, but it's a little bit too low to really try and fight this. However, Kaz is going to be dodging out any extra damage. They try and retreat. No active camo traps to be put down as the consistent damage was being dealt, but first turret of the game going the way of Intensity.
Yeah, first turret going their way. That is positional advantage. They are still down a little bit in gold. And, we talked at the beginning about Selena being a very aggressive carry, and maybe in that circumstance went a little too aggressive, and it ended up costing him his life as well as costing the team a turret. So, moving forward, we'll definitely have to be a little bit more careful on the Vox pickup. We know that Celeste is going to take a little bit longer to come online, especially with Irwin having gone with the Eve first this game, which I'm, really not sure I agree with. It does allow you sustainable poke, but that poke does not hurt the same way it would if you would have went with, a Frostburn or a Shatterglass or a Broken Myth first.
Yeah, the damage is definitely, could be an issue, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Obviously, Irwin, once he gets to the late game, once that second item, that Broken Myth, comes online, it's an absolute game changer for Echo Fox. Now, Kaz trying to set up a trap, but I'm not sure why you would spring it that early. They could have just waited and tried to get them bait into that trap, but meanwhile, Trinity going in hard on Selena. The Ordained doesn't matter. The Fear is going to lock them up for quite some time while Irwin can get the damage out. That's one kill found. The healing Plot is going to be able to heal himself just enough to get out alive. It's just a one-for-one trade when all is said and done.
Yeah, one-for-one trade. I do think if PvP Trinity had a reflex block available to him instead of this tier 1 armor, he would have been able to block up the core collapse and potentially could have made it out of there safely. He does have the Sorrow Blade and the Poison Shift complete now, very likely going into that Tension Bow next. But Selena now has his third item complete. A one-shot, one-kill does come out and takes a majority of Selena's health, actually. So Kaz is going into that double Shatterglass build, which is going to provide a lot of burst-through poke damage from this Kestrel.
Well, definitely lots of damage to be had on each side of the fold. It really just is who can get the drop on who, and Slada obviously was able to set up, big Solar Storm, the core collapse Solar Storm combo. Irwin just immediately takes out Kaz, and that's going to be definitely a worrisome situation. If that happens again, 5 to 10 minutes from now, this is going to be a team fight win for Echo Fox, because Kaz is not likely to go into much, if any, defense on the CP Kestrel. Now Plot is going to be wandering down a bit too close to the gold miner. Could potentially fall, but no, Selena's not going to be chasing that all the way through. The gold payout, got stolen away. Kaz respawning and firing off that one shot. Not respecting that ultimate was Echo Fox. That absolutely should have been blocked, but it comes through, and gold payout for Intensity.
Gold payout for Intensity, as well as moving this gold into about a 1,500 lead for them. We were just talking about how they were a little ahead in farm, but down in gold, and that has changed pretty drastically and pretty quickly. Irwin is now level 10, has an infusion burning out right now, and now has that Broken Myth complete, so definitely going to be a huge spike here now coming out of Celeste.
All right, so we'll see if they can turn this around fully. Right now, it's a turret destroyed by Intensity, but they're in a bad spot as this is a 3-on-2. Trinity, I don't see him being able to get out of this. They're going to try and just take someone with them. Selena is going to fall. Trinity, can he turn this around? Solar Storm misses. Trinity could find this. He gets a double kill. The Ordained times out, and now Trinity in a 2-on-3 situation gets the ace. Unbelievable job, and now they can push in for another turret. Intensity are bringing the fight to Echo Fox.
That was a absolutely beautiful fight, particularly coming out of Trinity there. Selena Gomez went in so low that the burst damage from Idris was just able to clean him up so quickly. Trinity has actually gone with Journey Boots now, which is interesting to me. A beautiful use of the Chakram there. So when you do damage an enemy hero, it refreshes your Journey Boots to a 12-second cooldown. So he did burn those boots, but it's already back up.
Oof, what an incredible fight. We'll see if Trinity can have a similar performance as we continue to get later in this game. Irwin not connecting with the Solar Storm was a huge factor there, but it was also a great job by Trinity to dodge it out. It really just kind of had to come down to a guess for Irwin of where Trinity was going to end up. He obviously just was unable to guess correctly in that instance, but don't blame him at all. It's a very difficult job to try and lock down an Idris. He jumps in, gets some good damage onto Selena. The Ordain comes out, but that's just going to keep him in place for a little bit. Nice block on the Fearsome Shade, and he's onto the back line. Selena is going to be in trouble, will be the first casualty. Irwin gets tagged by the one-shot. That's going to take about half of his health. Meanwhile, they're just taking Slada out with the Solar Storm already used. There's nothing really that Irwin is going to be able to do to stop them. And so it's just going to be a matter of trying to clear out these minions without giving his life over to the members of Intensity. But they're jumping right on in. Beautiful portal, beautiful core collapse, but it's not going to be enough. That is a kill and an ace. And with ace buff minions, they do lose plot. But with Selena and Slada both respawning, they are going to be backing off, at least temporarily. Active camo is set. The scout trap is going to get popped immediately. So now they know something is up. This is looking really good for Intensity.
Sorry, Bacon, I was choking a little bit there, but water went down the wrong way. But that is a couple beautiful fights for Intensity there. I really don't think we're giving enough credit to plot. So it's easy to look at a carry and say, "Oh my God, PvP Trinity, cleaned up that 2v3 and is 8-1." Plot has done such a fantastic job on this Lyra this game that we really got to give him a little bit of the spotlight. PvP Trinity diving incredibly deep. It does look like they'll be able to find the kill, and this could very well, if they find the ace, could be the game going over to Intensity.
And Selena and Slada going to try and finish it off, but they can't quite get the kills. Active camo is not going to be able to set up a kill as Kaz is spotted by these excellent scout traps. And with PvP Trinity going so low, he just has to run. Now, splitting the uprights there between these. This is so close. They're finally going to flare him out and find Kaz there. He's going to try and get what he can. Not going to be enough for a kill. An unfortunate situation for the side of Intensity, but excellent fight from Echo Fox, able to just kind of quell the bleeding a little bit and make sure they didn't lose the game there. If Trinity had gotten the kill onto Selena, that would have been game over. We would have been going to game number 3.
It was very, very close. If they would have found a little bit cleaner of a fight, I definitely think they, could have pushed this last turret down, no problem. So, if it's really a dangerous position for Fox to be in, they have to be so careful going forward, Bacon.
And so, Trinity playing on a knife's edge. If they can win one more fight, if Trinity can just go off for Intensity, then they will be able to win this game. But it is a very dangerous game they're playing, with Koss being full offense, no defensive items. If the members of Echo Fox can get onto that Kestrel for even a moment, she is going to go down. And with so much vision being put out by Slada, done a really great job of controlling vision. Selena is going to get tagged pretty heavily. Are they going to be able to try and chase and follow this up? Selena will be regenning slowly, but it looks like Intensity are just going to be content to try and take away some of this vision. There are so many scout traps around. They don't even know where most of them are. This is kind of a split fight. They've gotten onto Kaza. Nice little stun there, but not going to be enough for them to commit for a kill. Trinity is going to get taken low. Plot has to put down some healing. Going to be a nice wait for it in silence. That's going to be a bright bulwark just to keep the opponents at bay. Trinity is low. That's Plot going in deep. They're looking for it. They've got them split. Irwin is not with the team. Selena Gomez is going to go down. Big stun in Solar Storm, though, will be taking out Trinity. And it's just up to Kaz and Plot
The active camo traps, again, just are not really able to do much because of how much vision there is, but Kaz avoids the floor collapse while getting a kill. Kaz and Irwin, the one-shot will connect, nearly takes him out, but Kaz cannot follow this up, and Irwin should be able to escape. We'll have vision of the fact that Kaz is chasing him down. Core collapse is going to get dodged. Kaz doesn't know where Irwin is exactly and cannot finish off that kill for the ace. And it will just be a 2-for-2 to nominate. These fights are getting so intense.
Yeah, and Kaz played that last fight, despite them really losing out early. He played it very well. He was able to pick up, 2 kills, almost the third, and it really came down to the energy was pretty low for Kaz there. He didn't have maybe that one last arrow just due to not having the energy. But, as he gets into the Halcyon Chargers, either, will obviously have the energy regeneration, the cooldown, or could go into this Broken Myth next, which will obviously require him to have less energy to kill people.
Oof, this is getting so close. 18.5 minutes in now. And again, it just feels like these fights can go absolutely either way. Intensity have been so close to being able to finish off this game, but just haven't quite been able to do so. Now they have another opportunity here. Portal in from the plot, but no one else has really followed it. Now it's going to be Trinity getting ordained. Just going to have to wait for that duration to time out and can now jump onto the backline. But a huge Solar Storm is going to hit him. He's going to take him down very low. Another ordained. He's going to get stunned up. Double stunned with the core collapse. Now, once again, it is just Plot and Kaz left alive. Kaz wants to get that active camo stun, but it's not going to happen. And so they will just once again be backing off, but our Echo Fox is going to push this turret. They are ordained onto Kaz. Is going to keep him in this general area. He does eventually get out of there. One shot is back up. Low energy for Kaz, though. Going to really be limiting what he can do. Ordained onto Plot. That's going to be a Fearsome Shade as well, following it up. And another kill for Echo Fox. Echo Fox are slowly turning this around. Kaz finds one. Does get the kill onto Saleda. But Irwin and Selena Gomez can definitely push onto this turret. They will take the Tier 1 turret finally. 19 minutes and 45 seconds to get the first turret of the game. But Echo Fox are finally finding victories in these fights instead of even trades.
Yeah, and they're playing it really well. They've been able to get PvP Trinity down very early on in the fight, and it's really difficult for Crystal Kestrel herself to pull back a 2v3 together. Now, if you do get a good active camo stun down, it's definitely possible. But again, Kestrel spamming so many arrows is just, it's hard to manage the energy until we get that Halcyon Chargers complete for Kaz here.
Alright, so now Trinity and the rest of Intensity looking to set up another fight. They try to get onto Selena, can't quite catch him out. The Ordained is going to lock up Plot in position, but waits for it to time out, is able to get out of there. Again, no active camo really being able to connect because of the excellent vision from Saleda. They can still try and harass. Kaz already out of energy. That's the one big issue with this build, these guys. The energy troubles are really going to be causing problems. You want to see him needs to maybe get a Void Battery, but it's just going to go for more Pierce with a second Piercing Spear before even Piercing Shard before even finishing off a Broken Myth. So they're really just relying on being able to win a fight quickly. And that just hasn't been the case recently. They can find one that's going to be one shot, not going to connect. Dodged out nicely by Echo Fox. And again, Echo Fox just taking dominant vision control. This map is covered with scout traps of the red color. Not really much that has been able to be put down by Plot. It's just been the flares for the last 10 minutes or so that have been coming out to try and clear some of this out. But these scout traps have been really working wonders for Echo Fox, keeping the active camo traps within view and making sure that they don't get caught.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely fantastic job by Saleda, really limiting how much Kaz can get away with. If you allow a Crystal Kestrel to, essentially just disappear, then obviously you're never going to be able to kill her. But with the vision that's down, they're always able to find Kaz And it's, Kaz has gotten good damage down, but if you're not able to clean up the fights, then, again, a Crystal Kestrel just can't do much by herself, especially when she can't go anywhere without being seen.
And again, I'm looking for a little bit of damage. Kaz, one shot is again going to go wide. Members of Intensity, you feel like they're starting to maybe worry about their ability to close this game out. They have had the Echo Fox pushed to just one turret remaining for so long now. They find an engagement. That's all they need is one strong engage, one quick kill, and that they can take this one. And to set up something here, but not going to be able to find them. Echo Fox, they know that they don't have to really push the issue. Echo Fox can just keep farming and getting this even later and later. Obviously, Selena already has full build, but Erwin could still get a couple of items completed. Is going to be going perhaps for a second Broken Myth. That extra Pierce is always going to be welcome as they try and look for kills, but it's just, this game is so close. 23 and a half minutes in, and again, these fights can absolutely go either way. It all just depends on who gets the initial engagement.
That is entirely what it narrows down to here. Again, Kaz has not had the gold yet to complete the Halcyon Chargers, so energy has been a constant problem for him. As Erwin moves on, I would actually like to see him commit into a Shatterglass. He will have that extra piercing shard for the additional pierce, but if we look, Kaz doesn't have any shield, so it actually doesn't benefit him too much going on.
Work down, that's going to be a fearsome shade. It does get blocked, but it actually hits Kaz on the back lines. Now Trinity and Plot looking for an opportunity, but no one is really willing to commit to these fights. One shot is going to get dodged. Slada avoiding that damage. And again, just going to be a little bit of a reset as Kaz has to recall to get some energy back. And it's just, this game is kind of stagnated, but now Selena Gomez finding a little bit of damage. Heal, though, is going to keep Trinity in fighting shape. They can continue to try and push up Ordain. Again, not going to be finding much work. Oh, but the Fearsome Shade connects. That's going to be a team fight started. A beautiful Solar Storm will come through. Trinity is low. He's ordained and stunned. A core collapse on top of him, and Echo Fox have found this team fight. A 2-for-0. It's just Kaz left alive. They don't know where he is, but they could just work on this turret. Kaz is going to recall, but Echo Fox able to find the fight. The Fearsome Shade connects, and they take down a turret. They can now look for this Kraken as well because the death timers are so long. Hopefully they position themselves properly to be able to block a one-shot that comes through. But this is starting to look very, very bad for the members of Intensity.
Yeah, it's not looking very good, but even though it's not looking good for the side of Echo Fox, you still have to be so incredibly careful, because if you lose one fight, especially since we've seen so many teams particularly struggle pushing with the Kraken, it could very easily still be a Intensity VG game here.
It absolutely could be. Again, it's been this way for so long now, where just one team fight is all that they need. One victorious team fight, and they will take this game. But they've just been so wary of engaging. They haven't been able to set up an active camo trap engage. And without that, it feels like they just aren't willing to really commit to a full-on fight. And that's the problem with a Crystal Kestrel. Once you get late game, if she can get a nice engagement off, it is absolutely devastating. But they have just done such a good job on the side of Echo Fox of maintaining vision and ensuring that they are not in those active camos in any position where they can get stunned up. One shot again goes wide, but Plot is going in on the back lines. They're trying to get this fight. Trinity is going to get blown up. A huge Solar Storm will take out Kaz, and now Trinity is trying to run a double kill for Erwin. And Slada is just going to chase down Plot, make sure he can't recall with Kraken in the base. Echo Fox, after 26 and a half minutes, are going to take this game and the series. Absolutely devastating series for Intensity, as they had such a good chance in both of these games.
They did, and a lot of that credit really has to go on to Slada. So he had the contraption, as well as always had basically full-on scout traps, and that really limited what Kaz was able to do in these fights. And, really, again, the build on Kaz, yes, it does a lot of damage, but you have to commit earlier into building those Halcyon Chargers. Energy management for Kaz this game was so absolutely game-changing that, a fight would break out, they'd get some good poke down. Next thing you know, Kestrel had, no energy to fire off any more arrows. So that was really the game-changing experience for Intensity here for me.
Yeah, especially early. I mean, we saw the double Shatter Glass with the double Pierce. It does a lot of damage, but outside of that pure upfront damage, it doesn't provide Kestrel with some of the other means that we usually see with having some cooldown reduction. Of course, no defense as well, so when Kaz did get caught out, he was melted. PvP Trinity as well, he did have a decent amount of defense, but got caught out so often. Irwin on the Celeste, definitely coming up huge. Guys, this is really a huge performance for him. He literally, on the fights he connected with his skill shots, they won every single time. I mean, when those Solar Storm came out and connected with at least one member of the Intensity, we saw that game would typically go over to Echo, or that fight would go over to Echo Fox quite handedly. I really actually love what Echo Fox did too defensively. I mean, look at this. We rarely see this, guys, by the way, but on one team, double Slumbering Husk is a pretty rare sight, and it worked fantastically because, as you guys said, the whole build to this Crystal Kestrel was that instant burst to try to wear you down, and it just wasn't working.
Yeah, and, by the time all the Glimmer shots were fired, by the time an active camo was dropped, there's just no energy to continue for Kaz. And one thing that really swung that last fight so quickly into Fox's favor is the Lyra portal came out, and the whole team took it directly into the face of a Solar Storm. And
a core collapse. Like, it was
and a core collapse. It was just everything came out right into one spot. Intensity put up a absolutely great fight. Absolutely great performance in both of these games. And, they should really be looking forward to, moving on here. They will have a chance going through the losers bracket. And to be able to come in and compete with the #1 seed going into Challengers, that's a great performance for a team that, has a newer player and hasn't really had the same competitive level of experience as Fox.
This is true. Great show up. This is an exciting series, but Echo Fox, man, they show up here to take those games. I mean, to come down from behind both games takes a lot of endurance, and that's what you guys need for the long stretch here. And Echo Fox definitely had it for this matchup. We're in the winners bracket still. We're going to be actually getting ready for our next series here in just a little bit, folks. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's going to be Tilted Rehab versus Vision Gaming. Tilted Rehab, the surprising Cinderella story, at least in group number A, as they upset the #3 seed Misfits. They're a 14th seed looking to go up against the 5th seed Vision Gaming. You guys aren't going to want to miss it right after the break.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome back, everybody, as we get ready for our next series. And of course, you guys saw it while we had the break. It is going to be Vision Gaming versus Tilted Rehab. Tilted Rehab are kind of our big Cinderella story here going into challengers for Split 2 because they are the lowest seed left in the winner's bracket across both groups. And they are ones looking to come in here storming. Of course, Vision Gaming, whole new roster, not completely new. I mean, there are a few familiar faces. Let's get into this, guys, as we start to get ready for this next matchup. Tasty and Denomine. Denomine, started with you. Who should we really kind of keep an eye on in this series? Because this is definitely a contentious one if Tilted Rehab shows up.
It is potentially contested by Tilted Rehab. They had a good performance the other day, but I really think we have to put a little bit of a spotlight on Sibs here. Coming down off of the Rogue roster, maybe not having quite the synergy that Rogue had hoped when they originally put them together. He did help them in their games getting into the VG8, though. Rogue actually went 6-1 going into the VG8, so they placed in that #1 spot for the Challenger Battles, so definitely a player to watch here. I likely would expect to see him in the lane and Chicken in the jungle. This is kind of an interesting lineup that we have going on here, as obviously everybody knows last season Chicken was playing the captain position, and Shaded Talent is particularly a player that shines in that captain position. So Chicken does have some past lane experience, though. I do think Sibs is a better laner, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. There's definitely a very high skill cap on this team in particular. So in my personal opinion and in my predictions, they're rated very, very high into the VIS for me. So it's going to be exciting to watch them play. Obviously, they have Slop and Stan Solo on the backup lineup as well as subs. So two other very high tier players that have the potential to go all the way.
Well, we're into the draft for game #1, and it's going very quickly, guys. So I'm going to kick it over to you and Tasty to get us into what we have so far.
And we actually have, no surprise that the Lyra and the Baron get banned away. The Grace obviously gets the first pickup. What's kind of cool to me is this is a composition for Rehab in particular that we have going on here. The Finn and the Scarf is a duo that we used to see all over the globe for Vainglory. This was such a huge late game composition. Scarf's just really able to stay behind Finn and hurl out some fireballs. It's going to be pretty exciting to watch. I haven't seen this comp ran in a long time, but there is a lot of potential in it. Vision Gaming does lock in the Celeste and the Idris, so there will be a pretty substantial amount of poke coming out of Vision as well. And it looks like Jazzville may be looking to lock in that weapon lane Kestrel here.
Yeah, very, very likely, if this does get locked in, it is going to be a weapon Kestrel up in the lane. And so, there's our final compositions. The Scarf, Finn, Kestrel going to be trying to deal with the Grace, Idris, and Celeste. I got to say, just looking at these compositions on paper, I'm heavily favoring the composition coming out of Vision Gaming, and then you put into perspective, their seeds and who's on these teams, and this feels like it could potentially be a very one-sided game.
It definitely could be, and there is potential from this lineup that Rehab has put together here, Tilted Rehab. If they can pick the fights right, if Shaded Talent dives in on this Grace, or if Sibs dives in on the Idris, there is a lot of potential between a weapon Kestrel and a Crystal Scarf that they could just blow somebody up. I mean, once you've executed yourself into that front line, obviously Finn's going to have quite a bit of repositioning and crowd control available to him. All of his abilities having a little bit of crowd control. It's a very dangerous position to be in. There is I would say, a pretty sizable skill advantage for Vision Gaming. We have a couple players on this team that have competed with teams in the VG8, as well as going to actual live championships. So I do want to lean on the edge of Vision Gaming. But again, if Curly and Jazzville are able to just blow somebody up when they commit, then it could go either way.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity, but look at the items from Crowley. 2 crystal bits. This is looking like a double crystal composition. I can't even remember the last time we had a double crystal composition in a competitive matchup. is just so rare to see nowadays. Shaded Talent can get taken down extremely low by these glimmer shots. Sib's going to be the next target as well, just hitting anyone that they can, but Crowley very low on energy. They will steal away one of those small camps. Those are not treants, but they are going to be able to find that one just a little bit. Not really going to be, much of a lead to be gleaned from that, but Jazzville actually going up into the lane. So it's a lane scarf with a CP Kestrel jungle. This is an interesting turn of events here, Denominate.
This is definitely not what I was expecting. I definitely thought it was going to be the weapon Kestrel in the lane, and apparently that's what Vision Gaming thought too, because Sibs did pick up an armor already here on this Idris. Shaded Talent coming in, looking to get a stun down here, but man, what a beautiful reposition from the Finn there. That Polite Company pulling Shaded Talent just out of the reach of getting the stun down onto Jazzville.
Alright, so Crowley rotating up, looking for damage with these glimmer shots. And they don't really care which target they're getting, as long as it's getting a target. They can force them low, force them out of the lane, and try and take an advantage. And again, Tilt Rehab, this is not a team to scoff at. They were able to take down the number 4 seed in Misfits, who is widely regarded as one of probably the best team to not be in the challenge battles last split. So we'll see if they can continue this trend of taking down top teams, as Vision Gaming is definitely a squad that could be a top 3 challenger team, could even be potentially a Vainglory 8 team, because like you mentioned, they have 2/3 of their starting lineup are former Vainglory 8 players, so they definitely have the capability of playing at that top level.
They do, and I think honestly, if you're Vision Gaming here, you take this as a little bit of a silver lining. We were talking about the weapon power Kestrel and the Crystal Scarf really being able to blow somebody up when they came in, and now that is still on the table. Crystal Kestrel does so much damage, but if Shaded Talent builds double shield early, it's really going to allow him to dive onto Crowley, soak up those glimmer shots, and that's what's going to allow Sibs to have a safe engage.
And Sibs, well, speaking of engages, they're going to be going on to Ali Peterson. A lot of damage being dished out, but the Finn will remain standing and is going to be able to recall back to base instead of being forced back to base the quick way. As now they're going to be rotating down to the jungle, trying to steal away this Treant. Will not go, as it does get taken by Crowley. So Sibs, at some point, when he first visits the shop, as the jungle has intensified, he's going to go back with a lot of gold, 2,400 as of right now. Obviously, he's going to sell that armor, as there's not going to be much use for that in this game. But Sibs is another one, can go double shield, can just build, possibly even just 2 Aegis, because it gives the best shield in the game. But who knows where the itemization is going to go now that they don't have to worry about picking up any armor in this matchup. Sibs rotates down to the jungle, 2,700 gold to his name. Is not going to be enough to get that. He actually didn't sell. That's bizarre to me. He didn't sell the armor, and he didn't buy another 6 sins, which would have given him the Divergent Path unlock, and he was just about on enough gold for it. So that's a curious decision from Sibs, I guess, just wanting to get back to the lane as quickly as possible and not spend even just an extra second at the shop.
Yeah, and again, I definitely think we're going to see a lot of shield come out of the side of Vision Gaming here in the very near future, particularly out of Shaded Talent and Sibs, since they will obviously be the ones diving in. The range is pretty even when it comes down to the Celeste and the Scarf. The big thing that Vision has going for them is if they can find the Supernova Heliogenesis onto both the Scarf and the Kestrel, that's going to be absolutely huge damage, as both of these heroes are going to prioritize a lot of offense and very little defense.
So we'll see if these engagements later on are going to work out. Ali Peterson is really going to be probably the bulk of the defense for the team, providing that fortified health with the Polite Companies. But obviously Vision Gaming, they know this. They know that they can be a little bit more aggressive, but still not able to steal away that Treant as it gets taken by Crowley. And now they're chasing them down. Shaded Talent is going to get pulled back a little bit, but Chicken was the one that they really wanted to try and connect on with that Polite Company on. not going to happen. And so everyone sort of resets a little bit. Sibs did finish off that Sorrow Blade. Still has the armor in his inventory, oddly enough. Hasn't decided to sell that just yet, but Crowley finishes off the Shatterglass. It's going to be a nice little burst of damage for the Kestrel, but they need to be able to find these engagements. And the problem I see for... Actually, hold that thought, they're going in. That's going to be a beautiful kill by Sibs. The Holy Nova would have connected if the target hadn't already died in the process, but they get that first blood onto Sibs. That's the right target to get it on, too. Idris, very gold-hungry through the early game.
Yeah, and Idris really performs the best into squishy heroes. So obviously the Finn, one of the tankier heroes in the game. But when it comes to the Scarf and the Kestrel is where Sibs should really be able to excel. He should be able to use this Idris, pretty heavily as an assassin. And, again, Crystal Kestrel can't go invisible while she's taking damage. So if Idris is allowed to get onto Kestrel, it's pretty much going to be game over for Tilted Rehab.
And it's just all about that initial engagement, being able to get the damage onto Kestrel to prevent her from going invisible. Vision Gaming, I said looking at the drafts, even before seeing the double crystal, that I felt like they had a big advantage in terms of composition. And now seeing with the double crystal coming out, I feel like that's even more so the case. That's going to be Crowley getting jumped on. Did have an active camo trap there, but it doesn't matter. It just got deleted in an instant, and that's the concern for Tilt Rehab now, is how quickly they're going to be going down to the members of Vision. They even take out Hallie Peterson, this Finn, in a hurry. Jazville, one chakram, does about a fifth of their health, and now this turret is going to be under siege. They wanted to go for the kill. They can just take this turret instead. I think that's a much better option for them. Turret destroyed. 300 gold each going the way of Vision with a 3-0 lead and a 3k gold lead. This is one that is in danger of starting to snowball out of control.
Yeah, it definitely could. We really expect to see the aggression more out of the side of Tilted Rehab here with this Crystal Kestrel. And obviously Chicken's going to take a little bit of time on the Celeste to ramp up as well as Sib. So this is looking really good for Vision Gaming right now. They're really winning out this early game pretty uncontested, and that's not where you want to be if you're a Scarf and a Crystal Kestrel, because, again, as the game goes on and the players build up shield, you're going to start to substantially drop off in damage since that one shield item counters both of your damage sources.
All right, so right now Tilt Rehab, they're in pretty bad sorts, as they're going to be trying to push themselves on up a little bit, trying to contest, but again, they need to be so careful as soon as anyone goes in. They're very burst focused, and Shaded Talent on Grace is pretty much the anti-burst hero, like has that 40% damage reduction when the Holy Shield is up. Solar Storm going to split the uprights and not connect onto anyone, but Jazville immediately. And this is a weapon Idris, whose chakrams are now chunking this Scarf's health down in large amounts. And with Vision Gaming, they can just kind of freely push up. It doesn't seem like there's much in the way of stopping this from the side of Tilt Rehab, aside from maybe Vision Gaming going a little bit too far on their own. But Divine Intervention's going to heal out Sibs. Force Accord will pull them in, but I think they're fine with that. They can just look to turn and fight. And Crowley is going to get dropped. Chicken goes down low, but the Fountain will keep him alive. That's going to be Allie Peterson dropping. Jazville will get out alive, but once again is the only member to do so.
Yeah, and I could have seen that fight going really well for Tilted Rehab if the Forced Accord was into an active camo, because they did a great job. Forced Accord came out, the Goop went down, the Spitfire came out. There was a lot of damage put down onto Chicken early. If there would have been an active camo there, that very likely could have been a fight going over to Tilted Rehab.
So, I mean, there definitely could be a chance, but the later this game goes, the more and more that chance slips away. Sibs now has all three offensive items. I see the shield starting to get built by both Shaded Talent and Sibs as well. And 5-0 with a 4k gold lead in favor of Vision Gaming. Like I said, it feels like they're able to just sort of do what they want on the fold. There hasn't really been much in the way of stopping them from the side of Tilt Rehab. There's going to be some slows coming down from the Frostburn. Crowley gets some good damage on the Chicken, but Chicken with the core collapse will find a kill. Meanwhile, it's Sid chasing down Jazzville. That's going to be Jazzville's first death of the game. It could very well be the first ace of the game, as well as they're going to take out Finn. Ace comes through, no minions in the immediate vicinity, but now they're going to get there, and this turret is going to fall.
Turret is going to drop. Chicken has completed the Broken Myth and the Frostburn on the Celeste, so obviously having those extended range on the Heliogenicide and the Broken Myth is going to be absolutely huge for them. One shot, one kill, if it would have connected onto Chicken there, would have killed him, but Sibs actually dashes in with the Shroud Step, gets that barrier from, obviously not having taken damage, and, is now sitting at full health on his own. So, great block there out of Sibs, and this is exactly why he was my player to watch. He's so mechanically talented. I'd really like to see him find a team that he can, find synergy with and really compete.
And it looks like Vision Gaming may just be that. They've looked strong thus far in Challengers, and they're making definitely a strong case here against Tilt Rehab in an unconventional draft, but Vision Gaming has not been deterred whatsoever. Chicken gonna rotate up from the jungle, and now they're gonna be looking for a fight. Holy Nova is not actually going to get used there, so just a little bit of pressure from Shaded Talent, I guess. But they are now sieging up onto this turret. One shot is gonna go wide. Force Accord tries to pull them over the wall, gets blocked, and now they can look to siege this turret, try and get as much damage down as they can. Sibs has to get out of harm's way a bit because Chicken was actually not in a shape to fight any longer. Divine Intervention will heal him up. They're kind of working on split on what they want to do here, if they want to fight or if they want to look for the sentry or if they want to run. And 3 different options. It's going to cause some trouble, but Sibs gets onto Crowley. That's 1 kill and very quickly picked up. The Quibble's going to stun up Sibs, but he uses the reflex block to provide that barrier. Meanwhile, his teammates were taking down the Jazzville, and that's another ace for Vision Gaming onto the choke point turret. And see how far they want to push this. The respawn is going to come through right now for Crowley, but it looks like Vision Gaming, they just want to go for these turrets. They want to go for the end. 1 turret down, make that 2, and now they're on to the Vein Crystal. Here comes Tilt Rehab to try and stop this, but I just don't think they have it in them. The crystal will be shattered, and Vision Gaming, in just under 14 minutes, a perfect game against Tilt Rehab.
That was so well played by Vision Gaming there. Both Sibs and Shaded Talent fighting on the brink of death there in that, last fight, up there in the lane was absolutely beautiful positioning by everybody on the team. Obviously, that extra shield we've seen coming out of Shaded Talent really allowed him to sustain with that little bit of health through the end of the fight there. And just like that, an ace, and then 1, 2, 3 turrets, boom, down, and Vision Gaming takes game number 1 uncontested.
Yeah, this is a strong roster to be able to come in and just dominate like they have, and they've been able to do it consistently for the first early rounds. Granted, the early couple of rounds last week are a little bit less competitive, but they're going into the final winners bracket here in group stages, and they're taking a 14-minute game. Vision Gaming, made a lot of changes, a lot of swaps, and I think made probably some of the biggest moves in challengers, short of possibly Nova Challenger, which is another team that we'll definitely be wanting to keeping an eye on tomorrow. But hats off though so far, Vision Gaming coming up big, and of course we have one more game, at least one more game. This is a best of 3 after all. But when you take a look at what Tilted Rehab did in that game to nominate, what could they have done differently? Because this is 2 times in a row we've seen the Crystal Kestrel come out and Celeste just shuts it down.
What we could have seen out of Tilted Rehab would have been a Weapon Kestrel. Split your damage up, force the enemy to build both sets of defense. It was so clear for Sibs. Okay, I'm Idris, I'm an assassin, I'm going to dive in. They have 2 poke-heavy crystal heroes. In less than 14 minutes, Sibs is sitting here with 4 items complete, including 1 Aegis that was enough to keep him safe throughout entire team fights. So you really, unless if you can just outskill the enemy and get an advantage and really push so heavily with a double crystal composition, it's too easy to build around it, especially, the skill shot based heroes here. It's, yeah, you can build a lot of crystal power. The enemy's going to have a lot of defense. You're already going to not do a lot of damage. If you miss those skill shots, we've seen a couple times the glimmer shots came out, didn't get a kill, and then Shaded Talent dove in with that Grace, and Crystal Kestrel is just totally exposed to all sorts of damage at that point.
All right, I do want to mention, guys, as we get into draft for game number 2, that Tilted Rehab has substituted Crawling out and put in Shrub 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's subbing in. We'll have to see what kind of difference that makes as I kick it over to Denominate and Tasty Bacon to get us into draft for game number 2.
All right, and a Baron ban comes off the table very, very early on here. Rehab not wanting to either play that or take it on over to the side of Vision Gaming. Now this leaves a couple bans available here for Vision. They could ban away the Grace, they could ban away the Lyra. They actually ban away the Glaive, which is a little interesting to me. It is a flexible pick, but maybe they're using it more as a throwaway because now they have the opportunity to pick up whatever Rehab does not pick up, and they actually pick up a Vox first. So fortunately for Vision Gaming, they kind of have their pick of whatever they want here. They go with the Lyra and Idris, so Sibs with a great performance on that Idris last game will be looking to have a repeat, and Shaded Talent will be picking up the Lyra instead of the Grace, and that's a deadly combination coming out there though, Bacon, that Catherine Baptiste.
And Catherine Baptiste has been an extremely dominant force. I believe the only game it lost was a game where it should have won in the Vainglory 8, but this is the trio really. The Vox Catherine Baptiste is the full composition. Obviously, just the Baptiste Catherine is strong enough on its own, but you put Vox in the mix and you just have another potential team-wide silence that can come out. But Vision Gaming, I feel like the Samuel, Idris, Lyra will be enough to deal with it. Let's see if that's the case.
I think honestly it comes down to the skill matchup here. Again, we're going to lean very heavily on the particular skill of Vision Gaming here. These are top tier players, Vainglory 8 competitors here. It's a good composition put together by Rehab, but after that first game, I have to lean on Vision. I have to.
All right, so with this game starting up now, looks like it will be pretty much standard as far as the starting items are concerned. You see Sibs going for the shield with the Book of Eulogies while going up against the Vox. I really like that decision, although a little bit surprised to see Shrub starting off with a shield as well, as it's very likely to be a weapon Idris for Sibs. So we'll see how this matchup plays out in the lane. In the last game, it was just Vision Gaming dominating the members of Tilt Rehab. We'll see if this substitution can change that.
It's definitely potential. I'm definitely, assuming this is going to be a weapon Vox in the lane. So I like that they are splitting up their damage. However, Shrub did miss a couple minions in that first wave, so getting a little bit behind of Sibs already. Catherine also is not going to be able to help him sustain if he does take that chakram damage from Sibs over and over again. Do have a rotation coming up from Jazzville here, maybe looking to get a chain stun down with Allie Peterson.
And Sibs is going to have an idea that that's happening, especially once Allie Peterson moved forward aggressively. And as a laner, the rotations. When your jungler is finished, they're going to come up from behind. A beautiful rotation from Vision Gaming. Can they find first blood off it? Drifting Dart comes out. That is going to be first blood going over. Shaded Talent is low, but is safely out of harm's way. And that is now 2 kills for Vision Gaming. Excellent job rotating, recognizing that their opponents were playing very aggressively and just rotating up behind them, completely catching them off guard and finding those first 2 kills.
Absolutely, and we discuss this Samuel all the time. Samuel has one of the strongest level 2 spikes in the game. Actually, Chicken looking to drop here. A little too aggressive, trying to steal some farm away. These respawns are just way too early for the position that Chicken was in. He got caught out, and that is going to be a kill going back over to Tilted Rehab now. And Sibs may actually be looking to rotate down and clear the front half of the jungle. Actually, he's going to get topped off by Lyra and stay up here. Jazzville does rotate to the backs instead of trying to take some farm off the back of that kill. About a 600 gold lead right now for Vision Gaming.
And so that one kill going over is going to prevent another perfect game, at least for the side of Tilt Rehab, if things do go south for them. But again, playing a much more meta composition is definitely should go a long way towards helping them. As this game gets later ordained, gonna come out onto Chicken, will get a stun, but no follow-up. It's really just gonna be kind of used to prevent Vision Gaming from being aggressive themselves. It's not gonna last all that long as the heal just comes through. And again, Vision Gaming can put this pressure on. Not too much worried. Drifting Dark, that will be a stun of the Chicken. He's forced out of the Drifting Dark, and he's gonna go down. That was very aggressive play from Chicken, but now Sibs is gonna find 2 kills himself. Jazzville will be able to answer that one. So a 2-for-2 trade. Chicken just not at all respecting the damage that could come out from Tilt Rehab.
Yeah, we know that the Baptiste particularly has so much burst damage, and that's what's going to be hard for Shaded Talent on the Lyra is Lyra has a very low base defense, so not really able to body block as effectively as perhaps, a Grace or an Arden or anything of that nature. So the composition that Rehab has put together here, again, is a very strong composition that Catherine and Baptiste, there's so much crowd control to block. And this game is already looking better for them before the crowd control is even an issue. So maybe getting Shrub in here is what Tilted Rehab needed.
And they're definitely looking a little bit better this game around. They're still facing a small deficit, but they aren't just getting rolled like they had kind of been in game number 1. This is a much better start to the game. And so now they're still going to have to be worried about Sibs as he starts to get his items online. Went for a Poison Shiv first item this time around. So really wanting to emphasize that sustain, even with a Lyra on his side. It's going to delay that Divergent Path unlock by just a bit. But obviously, he really wants to be able to stay in these fights for as long as possible. There's going to be another engagement. That's a nice start, nice burst of damage from both sides. Not really going to be finding any kills. Chicken throwing out the Drifting Dark. Malice and Verdict nearly taking Allie Peterson down. That will be a retreat, and they should be able to get out here. Jazzville can take a little bit of damage, but with the sentry being spawned a minute ago, they are not going to want to try and push this on the side of Vision. But first tier 3 items coming out now for the junglers. Chicken going for the Frostburn. No surprise there. Jazzville still needs quite a bit before he's going to be able to afford that Shatterglass.
Yeah, definitely once that Shatterglass is complete, it's going to be a huge spike of damage from this Baptiste. Chicken has gone and completed the Frostburn already here on the Samuel, so going to bring some crowd control, additional crowd control to the side of Vision Gaming. Obviously, Lyra will have the Bright Bulwark, as well as the ability to speed her own team up with the Imperial Sigil Burst. Allie Peterson doing a good job holding the lane here for Shrub to make a return and get some farm. A slight edge will be on the side of Shrub in the lane, but a pretty sizable lead for Chicken in the jungle, sitting up 11 in the jungle.
And now Sib's going to go aggressive onto Shrub, getting a lot of damage down and not really taking much in return. And now Shrub's able to heal up quite a bit, as he obviously has that Poison Shiv as well. Both of these laners going to be trying to just sustain through these fights. Meanwhile, down in the jungle, Chicken and Shaded Talent are looking for a little bit onto Jazzville. Not going to find it, though, so they just continue rotating up into the lane. Jazzville does get an Ordain down. That's a nice stun. There's a big fear coming out as well. Chicken will get some healing from Lyra. The fountain has been used on both sides, and a re-engage from Vision Gaming will find a kill. Malice and Verdicts, the empowered Malice and Verdicts, doing so much work. They take down Jazzville as well. Allie Peterson, last member standing in this 2-on-1 situation. It will be an ace. Vision Gaming take the team fight and will take the first turret of the game.
And that's looking really good for Vision. That game was looking pretty back and forth for a minute there, but getting this first turret down is going to put their gold lead at a whopping 3,000, already at 7 minutes. So definitely huge for the side of Vision Gaming here. Sib's even going to take this opportunity to rotate down and steal a little additional gold and experience out of the jungle of Jazzville. So, looking really good for, I almost said Rogue, Vision Gaming right now. Sibs has now completed the Sorrow Blade to go with his Poison Shiv, so that's going to be a huge spike now coming out of these chakras.
Lots of damage to be dealt, and this has kind of been the trend of late. It's just these very high damage, low defense builds. And obviously later on, Sibs will have a fair bit of defense with 2 defensive items, but these early game damage spikes are what teams are really looking for on the fold. And Vision Gaming, they're looking to move up aggressively. The Crystal Sentry is still there, but they aren't really worried too much about it. It's going to rotate over. Chicken is going to get stunned up by the Ordained. Merciless Pursuit going to get used as well to extend the stun duration a bit. But now, up in the lane, Sibs very nearly taking out Shrub. That's going to force the members of Rehab to have to play a bit cautiously. Vision Gaming trying to take advantage. Lots of damage going down onto this turret. The Ordained onto Chicken once again. Just going to throw out the Drifting Dark regardless. The Fearsome Shade is going to get blocked and would not really hit many targets anyway. They take the Treant, get a little bit of extra sustainability as they really seem to want to siege this turret up. Next wave of minions is going to be coming in as a recall comes through for Jazzville. This is going to be a ton of damage onto this turret. They may even be able to stick around, take it down. Will they look for a fight afterwards, though, is the question. It looks like Tilt Rehab does not want any part of that as they're going to back off, but a second turret taken for Vision.
Yeah, and, that pushes their gold lead up to 4,000 now. If they can find another fight, they could find both a choke point turret as well as a full gold mine and really just start to take this game away. Having 2 turrets down at 9 minutes without really a heavy siege or push comp is absolutely huge for Vision.
We'll see. This is a lot of siege potential from the side of Vision because of how much AoE range damage they have. They can really do a lot of work when they push up. We've been seeing that over these last couple of fights. And obviously now having that 4K gold lead in their favor as well is going to help this. They rotate down to the shop. We'll see if any more items are completed here. It doesn't look like they have enough gold to do so. Just going to be more components getting picked up and an infusion for Chicken. Sibs is still sitting on a level 6 infusion that's going to be wearing off shortly, but Chicken can obviously pop his now at any time. Get a nice burst of crystal power and defenses. Vision Gaming starting to pull away here in game number 2.
And depending on how long Chicken's able to hold this, especially if he gets this jungle out of the side of Tilted Rehab here, he does not get it. He is very likely going to pop the infusion and make a re-engage here, and there it is. The Oblivion comes out. Sibs infuses as well. Uses a
Jazzville immediately taken down, although Sibs will get traded. Shrub able to find that return kill. Now Vision Gaming pushing up. The Sentry is here, but the Sentry's already pretty low. They might actually just turn and take that, try and take the Sentry down. They don't want to let it recall and get back to full health, so Sentry will be defeated, and now it's going to be Hallie Peterson having to run away up to the safety of the lane where they have that choke point turret, but Chicken doesn't want to let them go without a little bit more trouble. It will be just a recall, but 1-for-1 trade, however, with the Sentry going down, Vision Gaming still gets the advantage.
Yeah, and we have a couple key scout traps here for Vision Gaming as well as Lucas Shaded Talent looking to put down some more as well. Make sure they keep a commanding control over the center of this map. Chicken rotating back through his jungle now, looking to potentially get the gold in the near future to get the Broken Myth down, and that's where Samuel's really going to start to take off and be such a massive threat.
So with the gold miner now being a full payout, I wouldn't be surprised if Vision Gaming were to try and set up a play around this objective. They have some pretty good vision control right now. They're going to be picking up a few more items. Sibs gets his 3rd offensive item. They portaled in onto the team, and now it's going to be Shrub taking extremely low, still surviving on the back lines. Will it be enough, though? They take down Batiste. That's going to be Shrub finished off.
And now Catherine has to try and run away. Will not make it very far before the triple kill for Sibs comes through. And Vision Gaming, they don't even care about the gold mine. They want to go and take another turret.
Yeah, and the choke point turret going down is absolutely huge. That's really the last turret that does you a whole lot of safety here in the lane. Obviously, the next two turrets being all the way back at the crystal. There's not really anywhere you can retreat. And Vision Gaming looking to clear out the jungle and really take this gold deficit and run away with it to starve the side of Tilted Rehab.
So, Vision Gaming with a big lead now that is still growing. 6,000 gold in their favor. 13 minutes in, and all three lane turrets are now destroyed. This is looking like they've got this under control. This incredibly strong composition from Tilt Rehab seems to maybe not be enough here against the side of Vision. Perhaps Vision just have the answer for it, as they've been engaging so aggressively and forcing this team to split up. They haven't really been able to use this combo that we've seen so much in the Vainglory 8 and be so dominant. So there's going to be a stun coming through, but immediately this is going to be responded damage. Huge damage onto Jazzville. Jazzville is just blown up. Ali Peterson and Shrub trying to run away. Shrub is going to get chased down, though. He's a much easier, much more important target to take out. He will get the kill. I don't think they'll be able to push in for a turret, but this gold mine looks like easy pickings.
It should be absolutely free. There's nothing really that Catherine, where her position is at now, is going to be able to come down and do. Sibs looking to come over and finish off this wounded miner. The sentry does drop. Sibs might clean out this jungle as he goes through. Actually just going to opt to come over and help his team get this gold mine down. Obviously, securing that team-wide payout is going to be a little more important than picking up a treant in your enemy's jungle. Atlas Pauldron is now completed for Shaded Talent, so very likely going to be looking to portal in and immediately drop an Atlas down onto Shrub.
With this game starting to get very far out of control now, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much to stop Vision Gaming from pushing in and taking this one. So much damage onto Shrub to start this fight. Sibs is going to dive on into the back line. Will get feared up, however. He doesn't find the kill just yet. It's going to be a lot of damage getting returned. That's the strength of this combo, but it's just going to deter Vision Gaming temporarily as they find 2 kills. Make that a triple kill. Chicken coming up big. And it's another ace for Vision Gaming with ace buff minions coming in. 20-second death timers. This should very well be the game and the series going in favor of Vision.
It should indeed. That first game was absolutely such a commanding lead, untouched on the side of Vision Gaming. But Tilted Rehab looked pretty good at the beginning coming into game number 2 here. Fortunately for Vision, they were able to find an advantage and run away with it. That is going to be a 16-5 win for the side of Vision Gaming, not dropping a single turret.
Man, guys, another solid performance. Vision coming in here. Now, it's worth noting this is, of course, a much lower seeded team. So you have to kind of wonder, like, all right, maybe Tilted Rehab had a stroke of luck early on in the bracket because Vision Gaming came in here and just decimated. Of course, I would say from the Group A, this has been the strongest performer across all the games we've seen Denominate.
Sorry, but you caught me in the middle of a drink there. But, great performance coming out of the side of Vision there. Again, it is a little bit lower of a seed. We didn't really get to see what went on there in the first round for the side of Tilted Rehab. They did make it this far, though, so they obviously have something going for them. Again, coming into that second game particularly, with bringing Shrub on, they were looking really good in the early game. So, moving forward, I think they have a lot of potential going into the losers bracket. There are a couple strong teams down there already, though. We've seen Intensity drop down there, as well as, off the top of my head, I can't remember, is Misfits in the losers bracket on A side or on B side, Dragon? I think it's on A side.
Yeah, it's on A side. So we could see a potential rematch of Misfits going into, I believe, Tilted Rehab, or no. I'm trying to think if there could be a potential. I'm actually checking right now. on the bracket. So no, Misfits is on the B side. They switch over when they go down. So yeah, so there wouldn't be a rematch unless they made it to the playoffs. It actually is Misfits already getting lined up for their matchup here pretty soon. So we're going to be jumping into that as we head down to elimination round in just a few moments. But, you know, keep in mind, all the teams that lost here today are not out of the tournament. In fact, Intensity VG, who dropped down, will be playing the number 4 seed Misfits here very shortly. And we're going to be hoping to bring you guys that matchup to be streamed here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break, though, everybody. And when we come back, our third series of the night is going to be here live. Misfits, as long as it didn't get started yet, I should preference. But hopefully we'll be able to get you guys into the Misfits versus Intensity VG here in just a few moments. We'll see you guys after the break.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Dragonborn. We are getting underway for our final series here tonight in the Vish Challenger series here for Group A. Wow. We're almost underway. Everyone's ready to go, so let's get right into it. Denamine and Tasty Bacon. We've got an exciting matchup right in front of us. Let's talk a little bit about what it is. Misfits versus Intensity VG. Denamine, what do we need to know about this match? Give us the abridged version. What is there to look for?
Well, Misfits actually did drop in the winner's bracket to Tilted Rehab, which is the team that we just watched. And Intensity VG has been looking really good. So I want to say this is going to be one of the closer matches that we're going to have. The Intensity games earlier were obviously already pretty close, but I think this will be a good matchup. And Kaz has really got to be my player to watch here. He's performed so well on this roster. We actually seen last split. He was a sub on the team. And stepped up as their starting jungler was unable to compete in 1 week. And he's actually played on this team as a starter ever since because he had such a massive performance against Immortals. So definitely going to be my player to watch here. He's going to be going up against Demon in the jungle. And, obviously the team of Misfits, we have big names here from the Vainglory competitive community. They just maybe haven't really found, what they need to yet to really bring their game back up into the VG8.
Yeah, I would say for Intensity, they played a high-stakes game where it was a lot of risk, really playing for the early, playing for the burst, and a lot of these higher-end teams, they know how to counter that. We saw the Crystal Kestrel absolutely shut down. Vision, Slumbering Husk is just a 1-2 combo that, unfortunately took Kaz right out of the game. We'll have to see if anything changes, though, as we get into this next matchup here, as we are going to get into the draft. Denamine, what do we got so far?
So far, we have the Lyra and the Catherine ban, and Catherine is actually becoming one of those heroes that has, out of nowhere become such a priority ban because of the, uprising of Echo. Blocking a double silence is absolutely so terrible, especially if you miss the first one and it's chained into a second one. That's like 6 seconds of silence, 5 seconds of silence if you time it correctly. The Grace obviously does come out first out of Misfits with that on the table. This does leave the Baron available, and with the Arden, that is something we could potentially see run here out of the side of Intensity. But Grace handles pretty well into Baron. She can prevent a lot of the burst that comes out, as well as the fact that Idris is still on the table, but it actually looks like Intensity might be looking to go with the Idris. They go with the Glaive, so Glaive actually pretty much takes the Idris out of the picture here for me. And that is going to be a Baron locked in. And wow, this is actually a pretty scary composition that Misfits has put together here.
Yeah, it really is. This is a very, very strong composition between the Grace, Baron, and Baptiste. There's a ton of burst, but also a lot of lengthy fight durability once the Grace assumedly gets an Echo. Scarf is going to be picked as the answer. The Scarf, we've seen a lot of teams like to run the Scarf into the Baptiste to try and counter it with the range, but the Baron, should be able to get onto the Scarf pretty consistently and can cause some troubles.
Definitely can, and we talk about this a lot. The Baptiste, your real way of winning against the Baptiste is to just outrange him, and that's something that Scarf definitely brings to the table, as well as Scarf handles pretty well into Grace. The ability to slow her down. She does have the highest base speed out of all heroes in Vainglory currently. If you can restrict her movement, you can definitely make her miss a couple of those Holy Novas, since they can be very difficult to land, especially as the game goes on. People are upgrading their boots. It's really going to be about Demon here on the Baron, and so it actually looks like Demon is going to be in the lane. We usually see Zax in the lane, but maybe they just find Demon to be the better Baron or Zax to be the better Baptiste. So I definitely like the composition that Misfits has put together. But again, Intensity has really been playing on their A game.
Well, we'll see. Intensity has already pushed Echo Fox to the limit earlier today, but narrowly fell in both of those games. Will that affect them mentally? And will they be able to rebound off of that against Misfits, another one of these top teams that is looking to rebound themselves from having it dropped a series last week? And with this being the elimination bracket, it's do or die, win or go home. And neither of these teams will want to be leaving empty-handed
As you see early aggression in the jungle coming from Misfits. That's to be expected when you have a Grace Batiste. They can do quite a lot of work in the level 1 and 2 team fights. So they steal away one of those treants and then are going to take the ancient treant for themselves as well.
Yeah, so a very small gold lead starting for Misfits, about 300 gold right now. But, it's, still early. That's not anything that can't come back, especially since the Scarf has a lot of late game potential. But again, we have a Baron on the side of Misfits, and we know what a threat Baron can be to pretty much any hero. Idris pretty good into Baron particularly, but, we've even seen Barons with some pretty decent success into Idris if the Idris is not played correctly.
Alright, so with this Idris pick, obviously, not Idris, the Batiste going to be finding Scarf in the jungle, going aggressive, but now, can they get out of here alive? Eco is going to go so low, but Zax is able to find the kill. Make that the first 2 kills now going towards Misfits. And Eco being able to recall out to safety is definitely going to be happy with that one.
Absolutely will. Finding 2 kills, definitely huge for Misfits. Again, they're not a team that's going to be looking to go home. And actually having picked up Wings as a coach, maybe that'll be what Misfits really needs to pull their game together and show that they can still compete.
Alright, so Misfits getting those first couple of kills, going to give them a lot of confidence going forward, especially with this very strong composition that they have. Has a few very important item spikes in the early to mid game, and then of course late game will be absolutely devastating. So they just want to continue farming up. They're going to be pairing both Demon and Zax together in the jungle to get a little bit of extra gold and extra experience, and really trying to accelerate this Baron towards the late game.
Yeah, and getting the gold over onto Zax early is no mishap either. Definitely once we get that Shatterglass spike out of Zax, he's sitting on a lot of gold right now. Not quite enough to buy out the Shatterglass, but getting very, very close.
So the Shatterglass obviously will be the first item for Zax. Almost has enough gold as you mentioned, but you should actually might have enough once the jungle shop actually spawns.
He should.
Oh, not if maybe not if Demon takes away a couple of camps there, but we'll see. Yep, he does have enough. Purchases that first item. Is going to be very happy to do so. Meanwhile, rotation up to the lane. Eco going in. Holy Nova's going to stun 1, and now here comes Zax, the empowered. Bad Mojo can come out. It's going to do so much damage onto Trinity. Not enough for a kill, but definitely enough to force the side of Intensity to have to back off.
Yeah, and a 4-minute Shatterglass in the jungle is pretty good in general for Misfits. It is not going to be a camp stealed by Zax. They did try to sneak the Bad Mojo through. Roughly heading towards 1,000 gold lead here for the side of Misfits. Definitely, something you want to be ahead is on Baron. If you can, obviously Baron's the late game hero, but if you can get ahead early, that's absolutely huge. Zax is really going to be the one that I have to watch, because once Glaive commits with an Afterburn, and Ordain will go down, and that's really going to allow Eco to get a good Holy Nova down. Once Glaive's movement is restricted, especially before he gets the reflex block, it's going to make it so easy for Eco to chain stuns and allow Demon to just get free damage down.
Alright, so with that possibility of the free damage coming through, obviously side of Intensity, they're going to have to figure out some way to peel for these carries. Obviously Arden will be able to do a little bit, but that's going to be the Afterburn having to get used to get out of an Ordained. The rotation from Misfits coming up into the lane again, just looking to put some pressure on. The ultimate's going to get used. Ion Cannon will hit plot, but that's all they're really going to get out of that ultimate use. Meanwhile, Zax rotated into the jungle, wants to steal this camp away, will get it, but at what cost? He's taking a lot of damage. Eco has rotated down. Crystal Sentry starting to get involved, but they use the fountain. They want this fight. Demon's going to jump forward even, but now they need to get themselves out. Demon could be in some trouble. Nice Afterburn will lock him up. And just a greedy play from Misfits, trying to take a little bit more than they could handle.
Yeah, and before Baron gets the level 8, before he gets the overdrive on his jump jets, it does actually not have that anti-crowd control, which could have protected him there. So as you said, very, very aggressive for how early we are. Baron's obviously going to scale as the game goes on. Man, and Eco gets punted out of place, and that should be a kill going over to... it actually does get picked up by Plot, but PvP Trinity does take some turret shots there. Beautiful Fearsome Shade from Zax, and man, that last basic attack from Demon. Misfits finding some good clean kills there, but Zax with that beautiful timing on the Fearsome Shade, forcing both PvP Trinity and Plot under turret aggro.
Yeah, it was a nice kill picked up by Intensity, but they weren't able to get themselves out, and that's a problem. Cause is going to get locked up in the Ordained. Gonna try and get answered here by Trinity rotating up. He finds one. This is just a back and forth duel now that we've got with Arden coming back in. Gonna apply a little bit of barrier. Trinity, can he get back in here? He's taking a lot of damage, but he gets the kill. Eco should be able to finish this one off. Maybe, yep, he does get him at the end, but back and forth we go. 2 kills apiece.
It's actually the first time I've seen that interaction with the Afterburn. Obviously, we've seen the Graces flying across the map on a recalling target, but it didn't look to actually chase the Afterburn. Otherwise, it might have taken him over the wall. So, kind of a cool little experience of interaction there. Eco does rotate up and make sure that farm did not get missed as he was right there. Demon and Zax doing a good job splitting the ambient. And look, there's essentially no minions that were missed by Demon here, so that's going to give him a lot of extra, basically invisible gold, as obviously we here can't see the ambient that Demon has picked up.
They are going to be looking for a little bit more. I think caution should be coming out from these teams, but I highly doubt that we're going to be seeing that. Both teams looking to play very aggressive, to find opportunities. It's just a matter of getting those kills and then getting out alive, which has been the difficult portion for each side. You can see it reflected in the kills, 6-4. The gold lead, however, is in favor of Misfits still. Some good damage going out onto Zax. And looks like they're just going to be retreating back to their jungle once more. Again, both teams, I mean, their pressure is going to be mounting massively. At least this is game 1, so you can play a little bit looser in game 1 than you'd have to do if you were facing a deficit in game number 2. But for now, Misfits still trying to be aggressive. Zax steals away, or tries to steal away. Treant once again is going to be unsuccessful, but is able to dish out a fair bit of damage. Going to get the empowered bad mojos, and that is just a plot blown up. Trinity will try and get away, uses the afterburn to avoid the Fearsome Shade, and that should just save his life, although Eco is not going to want to let him recall for free. He's going to actually stick around now, and with Misfits getting onto this turret, they might be able to take it down. Eco's eating a lot of damage, but turret will fall. Misfits able to find that first big objective. Not sure if we lost the nominee there or not, but the game will continue as Trinity and the rest of Intensity going to be looking to try and answer now that they are down a turret. The gold deficit is continuing to grow. Trinity goes for this Poison Shiv on Glaive once again. And typically when we see a Glaive, a weapon Glaive, it goes for a Sorrow Blade and then a little bit of crit, or goes for this Poison Shiv option. It's both builds are fairly common and fairly popular. They both have different strategies involved in terms of what you're looking to do in the long run of a fight. Obviously, Trinity wants to stay alive a little bit longer to try and cope with the burst damage that can come out from Zax and Demon. But for now, it's just going to be about trying to survive, trying to farm up, and make sure that this gold deficit does not increase any further.
Yeah, it's, again, Misfits is doing such a great job to get ahead of on this Baron. He does have his 3rd item complete, so we have the Sorrow Blade, the Tension Bow, the Monocle, and very likely going to either be going into a 2nd Monocle just for pure deletion factor, or we'll go into that the Tornado Trigger, which will give him a little bit of sustain through the fights, as Baron's basic attack speed is pretty low. Very aggressive play coming here out of Misfits. Everybody on Intensity is alive. but they are not going to see that coming, and that's just going to extend the gold lead even further for Misfits now.
All right, well, with Misfits finally stealing away that Treant, Zex has been looking to steal that almost all game. Been successful a few times, but is going to be uncontested this time around. Is Intensity, they're looking to push in onto this turret, but here comes Misfits jumping over the wall. Some good damage being dealt, but they're going to knock Eco into the team. Not sure if that's the right target. They're going to get taken down very low. A nice fearsome shade will fear the team. Jump Jets first will take down Plot. Kaz is trying to escape, but is very likely to end up falling here. Ordained will lock him in place. Divine Intervention will keep Zax alive and healthy. And with just Trinity alive, see if they try and take this turret down. They should be able to do so. They juggle the turret aggro a bit and are just going to look to finish this turret off. Big damage coming out from Demon as he has hit that 3-item power spike. He's going to look for 4 offensive items on this Baron. Looking for another Tyrant's Monocle, you'd have to assume, to round out this build.
Yeah, definitely going to be going into the crit. Obviously, we have the Lucky Strike there. Again, it could be the Monocle. It could be the Tornado Trigger. PvP Trinity is struggling to complete this Tension Bow, though, which is his real burst potential. So this is looking really good for Misfits. They're pretty substantially ahead so far. And again, the Baron is so late game that this is just really good for Misfits. There's not going to be a whole lot that the side of Intensity can do unless if they can just pick somebody off in a fight.
So Glaive going to be taking a lot of damage. Try and chase him through, but the Afterburn will get him out to safety. Misfits definitely starting to take some pretty big leads now. It's going to be Scarf getting stunned up, but a nice goop placement is going to prevent Misfits from being able to dive onto him. Gold Miner is not quite even half full, so not going to be too much interest there from Misfits. With just under 2 minutes until Kraken spawns, they can wait for that to try and fill up a little bit more. And they're really just going to be looking for an opportunity to find a fight. You got to figure they're in a very strong position to do so. They have a lead. They have to be feeling comfortable and confident in where they are in this game. As they move up to the lane again, Trinity likely going to be eating some damage here if Demon decides to jump forward, but they don't really want to do that. Zax not going to be successful on that Treant steal. And just going to be kind of biding their time for now, with just as approach the 14-minute mark. Misfits will start up the Gold Miner. Here comes the side of Intensity, throwing a Spitfire to see if they can steal it away. Not going to be successful, but Demon jumps right into Kaz and just immediately blows him up. Eco actually finishing that kill. The goop went down, but didn't even have a chance to be ignited. Misfits finding that kill. We'll see how much they take off of this.
Yeah, I mean, picking off a kill, the death timers are still pretty low. Kaz will be up in 13 seconds, but all of the damage that we have coming out of Misfits here, they have a huge potential to take this turret pretty much uncontested.
Choke point turret going to go down. Plot tries to contest, but he's going to pay the price for it. And now Misfits are going to look to jump forward. Trinity so close to falling, but is going to get to the Sanctuary to heal up. Zax gets a Divine Intervention. Kaz will not be as lucky as his teammate. That's 2 kills now. And with minions pushing in, Misfits, they're going to look for even more. Trinity has to try and clear these minions out. But at the same time, has to be careful that he doesn't go down. The Ordained is going to force him away. And Divine Intervention again with the Echo did get used by Eco to keep his team alive. Plot tries to jump forward, does get the gauntlet down, and there's going to be jump jets used by Demon to get out of both the root and the gauntlet. All 3 members of Trinity. Plot is very, very low. They're being very aggressive for a team that is not at full health, but they know that the cooldowns are not available for Eco, so they're trying to force something, but it's just too risky, and they ultimately have to back off. But now Demon, he's ready to fight. He's going to jump on in with Eco. They don't quite get the kill, but Demon jumps over the wall, ends up hitting Plot instead of Trinity. I think that may have been a mistap there, because if he had gone onto Trinity, that was likely a kill onto Glaive. Jumps over, once again, getting onto Plot and Kaz. Kaz will fall. Plot is going to get away. Just kidding, he will fall to Zax. Crystal Sentry will be defeated, and they're going to be a little bit wary of Trinity and not look to try and push in any further, but they have taken some huge advantages now.
Some huge advantages indeed. The the Divine Intervention is down right now, but the Fountain is available, and actually Trinity, huge damage comes in and does find the kill on Zax, and that is a little bit of a saving grace there, because now that the side of Intensity is coming up, Misfits really can't safely start this Kraken up the way they wanted to.
Alright, so with them having to move away from the Kraken, I don't think it's going to cause too much of a concern. Zax's going down. Just going to be 10 seconds they have to wait. Although Intensity, they're looking to start up Kraken now. They need to be careful. Demon and Eco can still do a lot of work together, but they don't have a Fountain, and they won't have a Crucible for a few seconds. The Ion Cannon does come out. The Kraken is continuing to drop lower and lower. There's a Gauntlet. They're going to try and engage, look for the kills, but it's already plot the first one to fall. Divine Intervention will keep Baron alive and healthy as he chases down Kaz. Finds that kill as well. Demon is low. Will he actually fall to these minions? Trinity will be able to come in and get that shutdown, but now Trinity is in a bad spot. Bad Mojo over the wall. Will tag him. Meanwhile, Eco is just going toe-to-toe. Zax can't actually really get involved. He was too far away. They won't be able to find an ace. Kraken was unleashed in the meantime by Intensity, and that will get them at least one turret on the board.
That is a turret on the board, and even if Misfits were to find a kill there with no minions, I don't know if the Baptiste would have been able to solo out that turret. So that is going to be a little bit of additional gold in the pockets of Intensity, but it shouldn't take down the second turret, and that's going to be 1,500 more gold going to the side of Misfits. So fortunately for Intensity, they didn't lose out on the Kraken there.
So Kraken falls after just one turret. It's going to be a little infusion of gold for the side of Misfits. They still have a very, very large advantage. 10k gold lead with only one turret remaining to work through. But by Intensity picking up that Kraken, they still delay this game a little bit longer, give them a little bit more time to try and get these items into their inventories to look to turn this game around. But Demon is just doing so much damage with this 4-item Baron, and they've been really just focusing Kaz in most of these fights. They know that he is their late game damage source. Without having a breaking point or any crit on this glaive, he isn't as much of a threat as he kind of needs to be into this team, but there's going to be a nice afterburn into a gauntlet wall. However, Demon is on the backline just mowing down Trinity. Plot has already dropped in. Kaz, last member standing, and he is going to go down to Divine Intervention to heal up Zax as well. Huge healing, and then the ace buff coming through on top of it. And this is going to be game number 1 going the way of Misfits.
It should be going game number 1 to Misfits. What's really interesting to me is we're actually ahead on the Scarf as far as the farm goes, but if you really look at the 8 deaths that Kaz has, we're at 20 minutes. And the Scarf only has 2 tier 3 items complete. And if we look on over at Zax, he has that 3rd item complete. And Kaz was nowhere near even the gold to complete it. So unfortunately, Scarf wasn't able to make it late enough in the game where he was really able to start to take things over and out damage the Baptiste. And that's really something that we have to focus on, is not giving away those kills early. The game was looking for the first, 5, 6, 7 minutes pretty even, but then Misfits took a very demanding advantage on an early game Baron.
Yeah, Baron play in the mid game really starts to turn on. You saw he was able to get to those 3 items quickly enough. And this is actually something that we see with, if you're going to play Scarf, you need to be aggressive, and you need to be rotating more up the lane. You need to put some pressure, because you need to get to the late game, but you need to make sure you don't let Baron as well. The Echo Grace, this is another thing that we need to talk about. Grace and Baron on one side is a pretty dangerous foe. These are both very strong heroes in their respective positions, and when you give both of them up in the ban phase, you're really tipping your hat to a team to have a strong draft composition going to the game. And Misfits did exactly that. They took advantage of the draft that was given to them, and they did a fantastic job, but they clearly won in that drafting phase, getting some of the very, very strong heroes. And of course, Baptiste is great as well because Kaz just really could never really reposition, or even Glaive getting trapped in those Ordains all the time was a massive nuisance for them in the mid to early game.
Yeah, and I'm sure Misfits is excited to take game number 1 here. Again, they are moving up from the challengers bracket, or the losers portion of the challengers bracket. But it's still anybody's game. Again, Intensity has had a really good series against teams that we really thought were going to go more heavily against Intensity. I could see them, the Scarf, maybe not the best pick here. I do like it into the Baron. It felt like maybe more of a discomfort issue than anything else. Intensity has some potential still. I don't want to count them out yet.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. Game number 2 is very, very pivotal here. Misfits typically has a lot of momentum going in their favor that they'll ride that. And these guys are smart. As far as drafting, they're clearly going to show you that you do not give them overpowered heroes that are just exceptionally good regardless of what you're playing into. And what we didn't see was anything that really countered the Baron, right? Like, that was the problem. If you're going to give Baron Grace, at least pick something that is massively going to counter it. And we just did not see that come out as far as carries are concerned. So with that, I mean, we're just about ready to get started here. We are waiting on Tasty. I think we might have to give you a re-invite though. Oh, never mind, you're in. So as we get into this next matchup, as we look at how the game goes through, this is something that Intensity is starting to build a little bit of a record here, at least today. They are struggling to close out games. When they get leads, they're really not sure what to do with them. And even if they push really, really, really far, they struggle to just maintain that dominance throughout the game.
Yeah, and again, Misfits taking game 1 is definitely where they want to be. This is a team that's been in the Challengers maybe a little longer than anybody expected, with the original pickup at least. So, moving forward, Misfits definitely, if they can close out this game here with Intensity, could be a potential competitor for that number 1 spot going into the playoffs. Again, they did pick up Wings, who is kind of the coach, analyst, manager for the team, so maybe that's helped them out here over the past couple days going into these loser bracket games. Maybe that's what Misfits was missing, is someone really to take the lead and help them get it together.
Well, we're into game number 2. Draft started. Grace is going to be banned, so I think Intensity VG taking a different approach here, a more conservative approach, as we go. Misfits going to be picking up their ban here in just a few seconds. I'm going to kick it over to you to nominate and Tasty Bacon to keep this draft underway.
All right, Bacon, as Dragon mentioned, we do have the Grace taken off the table very, very early here. Misfits taking their time trying to figure out what they want to ban. Looking like maybe Kaz had a pretty good performance on that Kestrel earlier, not something they want to deal with. So that, to me, is a lot more targeted than a throwaway ban. Intensity does pick up the Catherine, who has been such a huge game changer in the games as of recent in both the Vainglory 8 and in the Challenger series. And that is going to give Lyra Baron. Actually, they go with the Baptiste here, so definitely a little interesting with the performance that Demon had on the Baron last game. Maybe a little worried about going into the Catherine. Splashing some of that damage back onto the team would obviously not be ideal for Misfits, especially, again, they're trying to climb their way out of the Challengers loser bracket here, so they want to play it safe.
Absolutely, trying to get into the playoffs, and Misfits on the verge of doing so. Intensity, they've looked strong against Echo Fox. Weren't able to quite put together as strong of a showing in game 1 against Misfits, but Misfits again going to have that Baron. Let's see if the Celeste and Catherine, along with the Vox, can do enough for them to turn this series around and force us to a game number 3.
Definitely going to be fun to see the Catherine and the Celeste going into this game. We've seen a couple teams have some varying success on the Celeste into the Baron. This is, obviously just for Misfits, we're swapping out the Grace for a Lyra here, but they got that Baptiste Baron combination again, and they played it so well last game. It's really going to be on Plot here. If Plot can, really prevent Zax from getting too much damage down on his team, Celeste might be able to find some safe poke damage out onto Baron.
So, Kaz gonna be roaming the jungle with the Celeste. I see Trinity up on the Vox. This is a change of pace for Trinity, who we've seen playing quite a few melee heroes. We'll see if the Vox will be enough of a turnaround. Of starting off this game immediately, Demon and Zax are going to be working on the jungle as a duo. Eco is going to rotate up to the lane to make sure none of these minions go completely to waste, although Zax is going to miss at least one. Demon will miss at least one. We'll see if that becomes any more as Eco delays the minion wave from going underneath the turret, and it will just be that single minion that Demon misses during that rotation, but he gets a lot of gold from the ambient gold in the jungle as a result. So this is something that more and more teams are trying to implement into their gameplay as often as they can, is getting the laner into the jungle to pick up a little bit of extra gold, a little bit of extra experience. And if you can do it while only missing out on 1 or 2 minions, it is absolutely worthwhile. Meanwhile, down in the jungle, I was busy looking at the gold numbers in the lane. Kaz actually finds and takes down Zax with the help of Plot. Nice job there by the side of Intensity to get themselves first blood.
Yeah, definitely going to be good for them, especially going on to Kaz. Getting this Celeste into the late game is going to be absolutely huge. Again, though, this Baron can be such a scary threat moving on into the late game as well. Unfortunately, Zax did extend a little too much there. Plot is building up those stacks as early as he possibly can. And it's going to be just back to farming for both of these teams right now.
So Demon going to be thinking about recalling here, but decides to actually stick around. He has Eco that can offer a lot of healing. A little bit low on energy, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I say that, but now he doesn't have the jump jets, and he's going to get locked up by those 2 stuns and taken down. Maybe should have channeled that recall. As now Kaz and Plot going to be looking to push forward a little bit further. Zax and Eco will be able to get out safely, though. That's another kill going the way of Intensity.
Yeah, and, so far it's looking good. Again, Baron does struggle a little bit in the early game. He won't really start to be a threat until he gets that Sorrow Blade, maybe even going into that Tension Bow complete. But, we're not, we're a little bit far behind on this Baron already. So we are sitting at 19 farm on Demon to the 28 of PvP Trinity. But it looks like Trinity is going to make it out safely here. Plot, however, is not going to share the same fate. Oh, a good double core collapse, though.
Nice double core collapse, but is it going to be enough to get him out? Eco puts down the bulwark for the slow, but Misfits don't really seem too interested in trying to finish off that kill as the respawns come through. They are just going to leave the jungle, so they get 1 kill answered back. A nice pick up there on to Plot, but what else can they take? They're going to grab themselves this Treant. Meanwhile, up in the lane, Trinity's going to try and push this in underneath the turret, but with another mini wave coming in, they're not going to be able to do so. Instead, Kaz is sitting there lying in wait. Eco is going to be taking a lot of damage here. Sigil will keep him a little bit above half health. And now Misfits going to rotate in, clear out this wave pretty quickly. That's one of the nice strengths of Baron is minion waves can be dealt with in rapid succession. He's going to get a lot of farm and keep this minion wave from getting too close to his turret. Likely wants to just try and shove this in so he can get a recall with 1,300 gold. Make that, it's going to be upwards of 1,500 to 1,600 by the time this wave is done. He's going to be very close to being able to buy that Sorrow Blade.
Eco rotating down with 2,400 gold, though, on Lyra, looking to pick up that Fountain ASAP. And Plot will actually be rotating down to do the same. So 4.5 minutes in, we have both fountains completed for the teams. Demon will very likely be looking to recall here, a bit low on energy and high on gold. So want to complete that Sorrow Blade as well as probably get a couple potions. Indeed, he does. And Zax is actually approaching, getting that Shattered Glass himself.
So they're going to be looking for another fight here. Misfits kind of get split up. They're looking for Zax Intensity gonna move into the Crystal Sentry, so they need to be careful as Demon rotates down. Lots of damage gonna come out. The Crystal Sentry is doing some work, but not gonna be enough. Intensity finds a second kill for themselves. Plot's trying to tank up this Crystal Sentry, but no one's with him. And so it's just gonna be a side of Intensity having to get out of here now. But 2 more kills. Never mind. Are they gonna go for this Crystal Sentry? They've stuck around way too long. Misfits are gonna start coming back. Now they have to run. If Zax can catch up to him, dropping Ordained, he's not going to do so. And Crystal Sentry will recall back to base to heal up. So just ends up being those 2 kills, and that's about it.
Yeah, 2 kills. They were not coordinated there on trying to take down that Crystal Sentry. It is going to recall and come back to its position at full health. So even all that damage that it stuck around for is essentially completely gone to waste. That's going to be missed time as well as missed farm for Intensity. So something you definitely got to be careful for, especially if you want to stay ahead of this Baron.
So Baron starting to get a little bit of damage with that Sorrow Blade. Obviously he wants to have more items than that, but Trinity is going to be taking a fair bit of damage. Nice Ordained, locked him up. The Demon jumping forward with the ultimate, almost blowing up Kaz. Gonna force a recall out. Solar Storm comes through, but doesn't hit anyone. Fearsome Shade. They're just trying to push them away so that they can get pressure onto this turret. But Trinity still here, still very healthy. Gonna work on clearing these waves out. Gets Ordained though. Gonna take a lot of damage. Avoids the stun, but is on his last legs. Kaz coming back after just clearing the Treant. And gonna be just trying to keep Misfits away from this turret. They do so temporarily, but Misfits are slowly going to be whittling away at that turret. Despite the fact that Intensity has the kill and gold lead, it still feels like Misfits are going to be in control, especially as Kaz gets caught.
Kaz does get caught. The kill goes over to Eco on the Lyra. He'll be very likely looking to pick up some health at the shop. He does recall, pick up actually 2 Dragon Hearts, so a little more health than I would have thought. I thought he would have been working towards that Crucible as we have this Catherine available on the side of Intensity, but wanting to make sure those heals are up to par, almost like a second fountain for your team. Demon working in towards that Tension Bow will have it the next time he shops. Vox has used his ult, and it will now be down for about a minute, and Demon will be having his Ion Cannon come up here very, very shortly. A Solar Storm does come through and clips Demon for about a third of his health. And now as Kaz rotates up, this could be a chance for Intensity to use that to their advantage.
So, with everyone grouping up in the middle of the lane again, fights can tip off at really any time. And if one of these teams just feels like they've got someone caught out of position, just a step too far forward, or if they've gotten enough, chip damage dealt and have gotten someone low enough. But for now, they're going to be trying to pressure each other. The ultimate from Demon comes out, doesn't really hit anything. Kaz hasn't been able to connect with these Helios either, so no real poke, no real harassment, and everyone just kind of gonna go their separate ways. It's still a solid gold lead for the side of Intensity because there really hasn't been much done in the way of objectives. Like almost all of this gold differential is due to just the kills and a little bit of a CS lead for Trinity that he's picked up in the lane over Demon.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an edge still on the side of PvP Trinity. Again, that's definitely where you want to be, as ahead of the Baron. But as this game gets later and later, Demon is going to start to scale pretty uncontrollably. There is a little bit of a advantage on Kaz too, but we're talking about a matter of a minute or two. What I think Misfits has done is they've done a better job of sharing the ambient gold of the backs. And actually, Demon missed out on a couple farms there too, so he's going to fall even a little bit further behind. PvP Trinity getting a lot of damage down, as well as Kaz finding some good damage down. The Crucible comes out and saves Demon's life. The Fountain, however, is saved by Ego.
Well, there's going to be more damage coming out from Trinity, diving on in underneath the turret, doesn't find the kill, and instead gets taken down himself. However, Plot and Kaz were able to find Zax. So they make it an even 1-for-1, but Plot could be in some trouble. Demon's going to jump forward, actually looks for Kaz instead, and so he's actually not going to get the kill, but he steps forward underneath the turret in order to secure that one. And 2 kills for Misfits, and that's going to net them a turret. and get them right back in this game. As far as the gold is concerned, things are now dead even.
Yeah, 2 clipped auto attacks by PvP Trinity there is literally what cost him his life. If he would have got 1 more basic attack down on the demon, you know, he might escape out from underneath that turret. He took a bunch of extra shots that he didn't need to. And, you know, that brings that gold advantage that we had for intensity down to essentially nothing. I mean, it's, you know, a matter of a couple hundred gold at this point.
So, with this gold that has gone over to Misfits suddenly, they're going to be able to buy quite a bit. Demon going for the Sorrowblade, Tension Bow, Tyrant's Monocle once again. Likely to go into... Last game it was actually Tornado Trigger as his 4th item, but I would not be surprised if he just repeats the same build. It worked so well for him in the previous game. He's starting to come online as this Baron now in game number 2. Picks up an infusion, is going to pop it at level 9. Misfits likely want to look for a fight. Demon's going to jump forward, really just farming these minions for now, but definitely looking to be ready. This Core Collapse not quite going to hit. Solar Storm actually goes through and hits 2. Demon will get healed up with the Sigil, but the Zax is going to be in trouble. Excellent job by Intensity, just choosing their targets wisely, but now they're going to be paying the price. Fearsome Shade is going to tick down and will kill 1. Trinity trades it, but takes himself out in the process, and now Demon can look to finish off this final kill onto Plot. They want this ace, but they don't have the move speed. Demon jumps forward and finishes that one off. Ace for Misfits. And what will they take off of this one?
They should be able to take a turret here. Kaz is up, but this Baron has so much damage that it should be pretty uncontested. And Kaz is going to come in here and get some damage down. 1 more shot is all that was needed from Demon to take down that turret and get 900 gold onto his team. PvP Trinity looking to chase down Eco here. Not quite going to find the damage or the Baron that was sitting in the bushes there, but a Solar Storm comes through onto Eco. Not really the target you wanted it to hit. He should be able to heal himself up pretty easily. You know, overall, that's looking good for Misfits. They did not get that turret down, despite probably should have been able to. The Crucible could have been used to block the stun for Demon, and then make it out safely. But you know, it's going to be easy pickings for Misfits on that turret, especially, you know, approaching 15 minutes here. If they can find a fight, they could push down that turret and then maybe aim to look for Kraken.
All right, well, they're all definitely going to be looking for an opportunity to find a kill. Demon jumps on up, but so much damage onto Kaz in an instant. Ordained will go on to him, keeps him in the general area, and that's going to be enough for Demon to jump forward, but not finding the kill. However, Trinity is going to be going down, trades with Demon, making it a 1-for-1, but Plot is all on his own. Kaz had no chance of sticking in that fight, and this will be a 2-for-1 going in favor of Misfits. These fights are extremely close, but Misfits just continuously coming out on top.
Continually coming out on top, but Kaz is now back in the lane, so it's going to be a little bit of a danger for the short range of this Baptiste to clean out this turret. Kaz, if he could find a stun, could have found a kill, just narrowly missing. And actually, a huge Solar Storm comes through. Reflex block is popped, but just too much damage coming out of that Celeste.
And Eco very likely to fall here, gets stunned as well, and just overstaying. This has been the story of this series, when these teams are trading back and forth. It's so often one of them just sticking around way too long while trying to take an objective after a team fight. And the kills are showing that it's 9-9. Gold lead very, very close, and with Intensity working on this gold miner, Demon's going to try and make something happen here. It's 1 versus 3 though, and the numbers do not add up. That is a kill and an immense gold payout for Intensity, and just like that, they're the ones with the gold lead despite not taking a single turret.
Yeah, and they have some pretty good vision as well here in the middle of the map. Some pretty key scout traps to see as the enemy is rotating. Coming up here, 15 minutes, going to be ticking down in just a couple seconds. This is really anybody's opportunity. If they can find one fight, they can find a Kraken off the back of it and really start pushing advantage.
All right, so these team fights being so split, if Misfits or Intensity can find a decisive one, That's going to really set them ahead in terms of gold. Big Solar Storm from long range finds a kill. Demon jumps in, but he is down in a 2v3. Trinity will not go down to the turret. That is a 2-for-0 in favor of Intensity, and they take a turret for their troubles. Going to be able to rotate over, maybe start up this Kraken. Trinity needs to be careful. He's extremely low, but with just Eco being the lone member of Misfits alive, this would be a very difficult steal, but not an unheard of steal. We've seen Kraken steals by Lyras before, but with all of Intensity here to try and stop it and put him out of position for it, it will be Kraken unleashed. Intensity, they are looking to push us to a full 3-game set.
Again, this isn't, just because Misfits did win that last game on Baron, this is not a team that we can count out. Again, maybe the Scarf was a little bit uncomfortable for Kaz. He's looking much better on the Celeste this game. Has had some absolutely amazingly accurate Solar Storms, which, to me is really why he's been my player to watch.
Well, with one turret destroyed now, they're going to keep pushing up. Lots of damage being done to the Kraken. Big Solar Storm comes through, but the Sigil will heal all of Misfits right back up as they continue trying to take this Kraken down. Kraken gets through the choke point turret, and Intensity are not going to push it any further. They immediately back off and are going to look to take the jungle, likely the Sentry on their way out. Actually, no, they're going to ignore the Sentry for now. And so this is going to be Misfits suddenly with the pressure on them to come back and win a fight. They're just, the two carries are so squishy. Both Zax and Demon opting for extremely low defense builds. And the members of Trinity have been able to take advantage of that and just blow up these targets so quickly, especially when these Solar Storms are connecting from Kaz.
Yeah, and again, they've been accurate time and time again, picking off kills. And, now we have Catherine working into some cooldown, potentially looking to get that Echo finished. Kaz has completed a Slumbering Husk just now, so looking to survive some of that burst that Demon can put down. If Catherine completes this Echo, this could be very, very game-changing. And actually, the Husk is burned very, very early on by a Ion Cannon coming down. So if Misfits is able to find a fight here, Kaz could be a very squishy target. He has the Husk, he has the Tier 2 boots, but as far as defense, when that Husk is down, he only has a Light Shield right now.
Well, Husk is going to be back off cooldown shortly, so not too much of an issue there for the side of Intensity. But this game is starting to get very tense. Misfits know that if they make a couple of missteps, we will be going to a game 3. They want to close this out 2-0. They don't want to have to risk a third game with their challenger's life on the line. We're going to be playing this very carefully. Again, just trying to get a little bit more gold, trying to finish up these builds. Very close to full build for Demon. Can still upgrade the boots and that defensive item. Looks like he's going to be going for an Aegis. While Zax is still going to be looking for basically the same thing, but also has another empty item slot. 18 minutes into this game, these teams are so evenly matched. It is a 3K gold lead for Intensity, but with the amount of burst that can come out of Misfits, if they catch one member out of position, if that Solar Storm doesn't connect, they can easily win these team fights. As both teams posturing up now, looking to make something happen. Zax collecting those soul shards. He's about to get empowered, but that's a big stun onto Demon. He's going to get taken down very low. The Solar Storm doesn't really connect cleanly, though. Kaz is going to fall, but so is Demon. Eco and Zax in a 2v2, but Trinity has so much damage built up. He's going to chase down Zax with Plot. And the Crystal Sentry will get involved, but Zax is going to fall. That's a 2-for-1 in favor of Intensity. Can maybe turn their attention onto this Kraken. It looks like that's what they want to do, but Eco is here. And with only being 2 members alive, there's a much higher chance of him being able to try and get in there to steal this away.
Yeah, especially as the burst from the Imperial Sigil will do more damage, the more health remaining it actually has. So this is a good opportunity for Eco. If he's able to pick off this Kraken, that's going to give Demon and Zax both time to get up. And they could eventually turn this game around. We've seen some good fights coming out of Intensity here. This Kraken goes over, it might be game for Misfits. And actually the Kraken gets stolen by Demon!
Excellent steal. Demon taking the Kraken away with the ultimate from long range. That's going to be big. Plot is getting taken down solo. Misfits, they're going to try and push in with this. If they had gotten a kill on the Plot, it very well could have been the game. But now there will at least be a chance for Intensity to take this Kraken down and stop this push. They got a lot of damage onto the Kraken after the steal, but it's going to get at least one turret with all of Misfits here to push in. See just how much they're going to risk this, how far they're going to try and push it. Will they go jumping in over the wall? It doesn't look like it. Looks like they're going to be content with just one turret taken. And my goodness, what a game this is turning out to be, Denominator. After game one was so clearly decisive for Misfits, I was not expecting much from game number 2, but Intensity have shown up once again.
They've had such a fantastic performance here. Absolutely back and forth games again. This is going to be one of the closer series. We did see Misfits with a huge performance game 1, but this is really the A game that I wanted to see Intensity bring during the first game. They got comfort picks for themselves, and they're really showing it. They're going toe-to-toe with Misfits right now.
All right, so with that Kraken down, 2 turrets remaining on either side of the fold. The kills are 14-10. The gold is in favor of Intensity, but we are at a point now where either team can win any of these fights. The gold is not going to have anywhere near as much of an impact on this game. We're approaching full builds. Demon trying to get some damage in onto Trinity. Going to jump forward, but Trinity not really taking much thanks to that metal jacket. And he's going to be able to just survive quite a bit as a result. Demon, I think, really has to try and target Cause. Get the Slumbering Husk popped, and then the next time you jump forward, you can just chunk through the Celeste's health, and taking out Cause is going to be so important. It's very, very little defense, whereas Trinity is full build. Trinity cannot gain any more power, but he's much more difficult to take out in an instant, which is what this Misfits composition is looking to do.
Yeah, and I think very likely once Trinity does have enough gold to reinfuse, which should be here in just a second, they're very likely going to be funneling all of their gold into Kaz. He might even pick up some Halcyon charges here when he shops, as he does have the infusion ready to go. He actually renews his half infusion, which is a little interesting to me. Getting some good zoning damage down here. Missing the stun, though. Huge Solar Storm comes through, and now Demon in a dangerous position.
Demon in a very dangerous position, but the healing's going to come through. He jumps over, finds a double kill, but it is going to be Trinity also. Or sorry, Demon found a single kill. The double kill was Trinity picking that one up. And now, Intensity, they want to work on this Kraken once again. They have a much longer time to do so, but Eco is still alive and is going to be in position to try and steal this, at least try and dissuade them from continuing it. Trinity taking a lot of damage from the Kraken itself is actually going to have to kite this away, and I don't think they can stick on this. I don't think they can continue the Kraken. They're going to try and find the ace, though, and Trinity will not be able to chase through the portal for now, but they are so low. This is incredibly risky to try and go for the Kraken in this situation now, as Eco can heal himself up. Yeah, they have to back out. So it is a 2-for-1, but nothing will be gained. Eco tries to cancel the recall. Isn't going to be successful as the teams are respawning. 24 minutes in, Denominate. Anyone can win this game. It can go absolutely either way.
It can definitely go either way, and again, these fights have been so back and forth constantly. Kaz has upgraded his armor now. He has the tier 2 armor, going to help him survive a little bit against Baron when paired with this Husk particularly. This is anybody's game. They have enough siege on both teams that if they win a fight, either team can win here.
So, Intensity, they've been able to take a couple of team fights off of Misfits. Misfits in a dangerous spot. Demon's going to get stunned right off the bat. However, they're going to be getting some good damage down both ways. The breaking point stacks and broken myth stacks specifically building up quite heavily. Trinity going to get put into the Ordained, blocks the Fearsome Shade. Solar Storm comes through, does a ton of damage. Demon is down. Intensity have gotten the kill that they need, and they are pushing forward. All healthy Zax is going to be trying to escape, but there's not really anywhere for him to go. He's going to get stunned up. Meanwhile, Trinity took down and chased out and took down Eco, and with 50-second death timers, Intensity have taken game number 2, and we will have a game 3.
This has been such a, absolutely amazing performance from Intensity. Again, they are the lower seed here, but, they've really proven themselves that they can compete, with these higher teams. They even had a good performance against Echo Fox. It did end up going over to Echo Fox 2-0, but those games weren't hugely convincing to me, Bacon. I mean, they were very close games.
They really were. I mean, Misfits, again, game 1 ran away with it, but this time, game number 2, Intensity fired back, and in a big way, were able to take this one down. And we're going to game 3, a decisive game 3. Winner takes all. Loser is eliminated. This is getting really, really close, and it's going to be absolutely crazy to see who can take this one home.
This has been really intense. Intensity coming in strong here, and they've struggled to close out games, but one of the things that we've noticed is this Crystal Celeste is actually gave them such a hard time in the previous series. They come and use it, and it just clearly a big factor. I'm stunned that we're watching Exhale let someone use Celeste. He is known and notorious for saying he's one of the best Celeste. And, to let someone pick that and body him with it, I mean, you would expect he knew how, or he knows how to play around this. And unfortunately, the Baron just started to really fall off in the amount of damage he could do. Celeste, those Solar Storms were landing every single time. And I'm actually going to make a prediction here. I have to imagine that Misfits may look to try to let that exact same draft happen in reverse and then pick up the Celeste. I know Exhale, he loves that hero, and he feels like he can definitely outmaster almost anybody when he has in the right situation. So we're gonna take a quick break though, everybody. This is going into game number 3. We're gonna give the players just a few minutes to breathe. So we're gonna come right back in just about 2 minutes, and when we do, game number 3 between Misfits and Intensity VG is gonna start here. You're not gonna want to miss it, everybody. Right back after the break.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here getting ready for our next matchup. It's this, game number 3, Misfits versus Intensity VG, and we're just about underway here to get into this game. This has been our first game 3 today, guys, and actually, I think this is our first game 3 across almost all the games we streamed last week as well. No, I take that back. There was that one game dropped. NRG did drop game 1 against the team. But keep in mind, I think what's noted there is they did have a sub for that game. This is starters versus starters. This is really head-to-head going to be probably our closest match we've had yet in VIS.
Yeah, and we saw it last game. I mean, that game was so back and forth. It literally came down to whoever wins this team fight wins the game. And Intensity was able to find some really good damage. They found a huge Solar Storm. Kaz, particularly last game, basically every Solar Storm was on point, hit multiple targets, specifically took out Demon in several of the fights, especially that last one. Demon jumped to the front line and went from 100 to nothing in a matter of a split second.
Yeah, I mean, Celeste in the late game is starting to show up as a massive, massive threat to even a Baron. That's really incredible. The fact that we could even, look at that and say, wow, this Celeste threat is no joke. So we're getting into the next draft. We are going to see Misfits on A side. I personally have the prediction that I think we might see Demon pull out a Celeste pick. But, I mean, anything could happen. We could even see a Celeste ban by Intensity to prevent that, depending on how the draft end up going back and forth. Once we get you in, Day, though, we're going to hopefully get this started. Yep, looks like we're ready to go. Any prediction, guys? This is our only game 3 today, and this is the last series. Tasty, what do you think is going to happen?
It's so tough to call just because of how close that last game was. Obviously, you expect Misfits to be able to pull this one out, but the way Intensity is played, they have really brought the fight to their opponents, to both Echo Fox and now Misfits, and it would not be terribly surprising if they were to pick up the victory. It would be an upset for sure, but it wouldn't be much of a surprise anymore.
Well, the bans are starting to kind of come in as we would expect. Grace's ban, it looks like we might have a Baron ban here. At least that's what they're hovering over. We have seen, interesting bans and picks throughout most of these series, but this is going to be the Baron. Very conventional, and with that, Misfits prioritizing the Catherine. Day, tell me a little bit about how this has really resurged as a first pick prioritization by a lot of teams.
Well, one of the big things is Catherine received a pretty substantial buff to her heroic perk. Every time she does get a stun or silence, she actually gets 2 armor and 2 shield as opposed to the 1 she used to get. So that provides her a lot of tankiness much earlier into the game. As well as Echo, that double silence going into the late game is such a game changer. And we talked about it last game. If you can land a double silence and time it right, especially when paired with a Vox, you can essentially have a team silence for 5-6 seconds. So obviously Intensity does not want to see that happen, so they do pick up the Baptiste and the Vox, but Misfits answer back, as you called it. That is going to be Demon picking up a Jungle Celeste with Zax in the lane on this glaive, and we've seen the success that Celeste was able to have into the Baptiste in the last game. One huge advantage that Celeste has over Baptiste is the outranging of the Baptiste, and then B, obviously she doesn't have to actually go through the captain. Intensity does flex the Baptiste, however, with the Celeste pickup onto plot, and they instead pick up a Samuel, which can be a bit of a nuisance as he can, really kite around the edge of the fights and try to throw those Malice and Verdicts past Eco here on this Catherine.
All right, so we load onto the fold. That's gonna be the attempt. That's what in a perfect world would play out in every fight, but obviously, as we know, it's not always going to be the case. And so the differences in how the builds are going to come out, where the rotations are going to happen, who is going to be more aggressive is going to be very important. This one, the Captain Baptiste for plot, a bit of a change of pace. Obviously, Misfits having to change up their draft strategy as well with the Baron not being available to them. Does it mean that it will be Zax on this glaive in the jungle with Demon, or Zax likely going to the lane with Demon in the jungle? It's a change of pace for Misfits. We'll see if they actually stick to that, or if they do put Demon in the lane on the Celeste, go a little old school on this one. But we are going to get a pause coming out right away.
Yeah, it's a little interesting that you bring up you don't know who's going where. Most typically, I would say the glaive in the lane, but if we actually look at the builds, Zax is sitting on a weapon blade and a swift shooter. He is not sitting on a book of eulogies, so this ought to be pretty interesting moving forward. Perhaps thinking that the glaive handles a little better into the Samuel in the jungle.
Right, so we'll once this pause situation gets sorted, get right back into the action. Obviously, want to make sure that in a match as important as this, things are as even as possible. And if we notice that it looks like there's a connection issue, we'll try and pause it for the players to get everything sorted out. Until then, we'll just have to sit tight for a moment. We'll get an update perhaps from Dragonborn on what the situation is or how shortly we'll be able to get back into the game.
Well, quick update. We do have one of the players' iPad completely died, and he should be getting that charged up and getting in pretty soon here, so we do apologize for the delay. We're going to try to make sure he can get on and ready to go. Obviously, with the best of 3, you're playing pretty intense games for quite a long time, potentially on the battery. So I can't say I haven't been in the same situation as well. So a few more minutes, guys, and then we should be able to jump into this game here. With that, waiting for the few mods. So what we're gonna do, guys, just gonna check. Oh wait, I think we're getting back from pause, guys. So I'm gonna get back over to Tasty Bacon and Denominate to get us into this game.
All right, here we go. This is going to be back underway. Looks like Cause is moving along with everyone else, so we are good to go to keep those iPads charged. If you're going to be playing in these events, again, like Dragonborn said, they can be long. If you're going the full distance in these series especially, you don't want to have to... I mean, if this game wasn't streamed, you would have just kind of had to deal with it. So, fortunately for them, it is all taken care of, and they will be able to have a full-on fair all the way 3v3. Eco will be taking a little bit of damage here. Will get ordained. The Drifting Dark going to come through. It's a lot of damage. Will it be enough to find a kill? Not quite. And so, excellent job there, making sure to not give that first blood over. But as we look at the rotation, it looks like it will be Demon in the lane with the Celeste. This is something that we don't very often see. Typically, it's the melee or the weapon power laner in the lane no matter what. And the Crystal carry in the jungle. But Misfits going back to, the first couple of seasons of competitive with the Crystal laner instead. Denominate might have lost him. Well,
I'm here now.
Okay, we got him back.
So
I assume Denominate had to go plug in his device too. That's
I actually did.
I'm going with.
I actually did. I had a 5% flashing on my screen, so I was like, I better not do the same thing. Misfits has done a good job of sharing the ambient gold in the backs. Demon, as you mentioned, will be in the lane on this Celeste. I think it's just because, in particular, Glaive should handle a little better into the Samuel in the jungle. Obviously, having that gap closer and stun into a wall potential, especially paired up with Eco here on the Catherine. Samuel should have time to clear out his jungle pretty safely here, and that is going to force Misfits back to their side. Demon actually opts to pick up the Eve first on Celeste, and that's a little interesting to me. Misfits looking to get a little bit of the farm here. They do clean up some of it. It goes over to Eco. Overall, pretty standard game. Not really any kind of gold advantage built so far for either team. It's so hard to call this one, Bacon. It's so hard. There's, the last game was just so even. It was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And now with this composition we have set up,
Demon taken pretty low, but a nice afterward from Zax comes through. They're going to be getting a lot of damage on the plot. They know he's very squishy, but not going to be able to find that kill just yet. Eco still being very aggressive. Trinity is actually going to be looking for this kill. Will find it for the first blood. Trinity is not going to get traded back either. Yes, he is. Just kidding. Minion, I believe, actually got that last shot in.
It was the basic attack from Celeste that will follow
the long
to the
travel
end
time.
of the world.
Zax is going to be falling as he went a little bit too aggressive, and this has kind of been the story of this series. Both of these teams
continuously just a little bit too aggressive. After they find a kill, they stick around, they push a little bit too much and end up paying for it. So I really want to see one of these squads just rein it in a little bit. Get that kill, but then back off. Go take something in the jungle or something like that. Don't stick around and give your opponents a chance to trade it right back. Eco, he's going to be too far forward trying to hold this lane for Demon and will be paying for it with his life. And Demon on the Celeste, I like the idea of putting Celeste up in the lane because Celeste is very item reliant. You really want to get that 3-item power spike on her as quickly as you can, but now Demon is going to be in trouble. The Malice and Verdict's doing a lot of work. The Afterburn may have actually just saved Demon's life. Zax is going to have to try and hold this lane. Demon is very low. They're going to rotate into the jungle, but Zax just came from there, so that's all been cleared out. They're not going to be able to steal anything away.
Zax looking to pick up, looks to be a tension bow first, so really wanting to capitalize on that early game aggression that Glaive has. That item in particularly handles really well in the early game just because of the low health pool that everybody has. So that is going to be a huge spike for this Glaive, and now as Demon very likely works into either a Broken Myth or a Frostburn here as his second item, that's really going to be where Celeste will start to take off, especially as about that time he'll have a level 8 Heliogenesis. And Zax actually going in way too far, losing his life, and now Eco drops as well. That leaves Demon alone here in the lane with Intensity, really looking to push this wave in and maybe get some damage down.
All right, so they're going to be looking for this pressure on the turret. Intensity is able to find a lot of damage here with the rest of Misfits not being close. A nice stun though, and Demon very nearly taking a member out. That's going to be Zax coming in. Doesn't find the kill, but Demon, that basic attack following plot all the way over and getting another kill for him. So Misfits, despite giving over the first few kills of this game, are going to be coming back strong, finding a lot of damage on this turret. They're going to stick around and try and take it down. They are going to be able to do so, and then they back away. So kill and a turret. And just like that, the first objective is in favor of Misfits.
Yeah, and that brings the gold back to on par. We did have a little bit of an edge for Intensity just due to the kills. And actually, we got a fight breaking out here in the jungle. Zax being taken very, very low.
And Zax's going to be definitely in a bit of trouble, but gets back to the rest of the team with the sentry rotating around. It's just going to be Intensity backing off, not wanting it to push that too far. And so, a good job by Intensity that time to just chase Misfits away and not give them anything in return. Goldminer going to get started up here. Eco going to try and steal this. The Oblivion actually puts Celeste to a sleep, and that's going to be Goldmine going over to Intensity. As a result, a risky Goldmine take. It was at high risk of getting stolen, but an Oblivion preventing Demon from being able to be involved in that skirmish means that they get it and get out safely.
Yep, and Demon now completing that Broken Myth. That's a huge item spike for Celeste. Again, being in the lane, there's a lot more gold available to Demon as opposed to being in the jungle. Versus the jungle obviously has more experience, which lets you get to that level 80 usually quicker. But due to the ambient and the sharing that Misfits have done, they've actually really just essentially power leveled Demon to level 8. Zax is still sitting at level 7, and now Demon has that overdriven Heliogenesis and has the additional range. So this is where Celeste is really going to start to take off and be able to zone and really prevent where Samuel and Vox are able to safely travel.
All right, so with Intensity being up in kills, but down that turret, they know that they scale up extremely well. And with this Vox, once he gets that third item, the breaking point online, he's going to be able to stick around in these fights and really ramp up heavily. Zax coming out of the jungle has the tension bow as well. It used to be the standard for Glaives way back in the day. A jungle Glaive tension bow start and just try and dominate the early game. They haven't really been able to do that on the side of Misfits, and so you're going to have to wonder, will this Glaive fall off? That's always been one of the concerns, or was one of the concerns about Glaive back when this was the build and strategy, was that he fell off pretty heavily towards the late game, but with the way things have changed now, with the current meta in Vainglory and the current item builds, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, especially as Demon gets rushed towards this third item. Once he gets the full build, they're going to be able to start donating all of this farm over to Zax and try and speed his build up. But Demon being able to get that accelerated pace, having the broken myth already, and 9.5 minutes in, that's a very early for these power spikes that came out from Demon, and they need to really try and capitalize on that now.
They do, but he also has to watch his energy management. They are not ready for this fight.
He's watched his health management as the Malice and Verdict's doing a ton of work. Demon tries to go, or Zax tries to go in, immediately gets stunned and taken out without finding a kill. Now Eco is going to be in trouble. Kaz trying to chase him down. Malice and Verdict's connecting. One more attack will do it. And that's 2 more kills for Intensity. They're looking good in the team fights. It's just their objective play needs a little bit of a step up. Let's see if they can try and force this turret down with only Demon here to defend, who's very low on energy. This turret should be going down. Trinity gonna take a little bit of damage from that Helio, but that's all that Demon can do as he is out of energy. And so turret gets traded, and just like that, Intensity starting to take a bit of a lead.
Intensity taking a little bit of a lead, and if you're Misfits and your Celeste doesn't have energy to make it through a fight, you just leave. Just back out, get your energy back up, pick a better fight, and then you potentially don't lose out on that turret and the gold lead that you had. So it's a little bit of a rough patch for the side of Misfits there. The Fox does rotate down with Kaz and actually shares out on the ambient in the back. So the box now has a breaking point complete and has the gold to infuse. Actually, he does decide to upgrade his armor instead. Zax struggling to find a second item, sitting about 600 gold shy of a Sorrow Blade. But Demon here in just a second is going to have enough gold to finish off that Frostburn, which should help him really take that zoning and keep Kaz in a area that he can get damage down. But man, Kaz answering back with a lot of poke damage. Man, it's just back and forth right now with these mages.
Yeah, they really are trading pretty heavily, but Kaz gets out alive, and that's going to be good news for Intensity. Because again, if they can find these fights, if they can push in Misfits early, the whole point of Misfits putting Demon in the lane was to get Demon online much earlier than you would normally see a Celeste hit her power spikes. And if they can't take advantage of that, if Intensity are able to rebuff them, once they get online, you have Vox with his 3 items now, going to start building into the defense. Kaz has himself 2 items, including the Broken Myth. Once he gets the Eve of Harvest, he's going to be extremely difficult to take down. And of course, Plot, we could very likely see him going for the Echo as the next item. And that's going to be very difficult team fights to navigate for Misfits as the Vision Wars start to really come into play. A lot of scout traps getting put down by Plot. They want to know where Misfits are so that they can position themselves properly, try and find an engagement somewhere. 7-2 on the scoreboard, but these rotations from Misfits have been pretty good thus far over the last couple minutes, able to rotate around safely and not have to worry too much about where their opponents are. They try and get some vision control of their own.
Definitely need to get some vision control down. We see a bunch of vision down for the side of Intensity. Demon has opted actually to go with the Shatter Glass instead of the Frostburn, so losing out on the ability to really keep your enemies around those supernovas, but gaining the ability to just, essentially take somebody's health and just get rid of it. So if the zoning is done properly from Demon here, he definitely has a lot of potential. We may want to see some Halcyon Chargers come out next for some energy management, because that's something that, unfortunately for Celeste, we have not seen done very well. Kaz does find some good damage down onto Eco, but the fountain is just now used, and man, just a sliver of health. Eco does make it out alive.
Gets out, but and they are going to be able to just really not give up anything for this. Intensity, they force the recalls, but can't find anything else on the map. The gold miner is, obviously having just gone over, isn't going to be taken. And so Intensity just sort of losing out a little bit there. Misfits they're keeping this close. The gold, you can see, is less than 1,000 separating the two teams, and it's looking very similar to the previous game where anyone can win a fight at any time and find some advantages. Fountain is down for Eco, is available for Plot. And if Intensity knows they can look for a fight, Kaz is going to get taken down pretty low, but that's going to be a nice wait for it to silence them up. A big core collapse, though, will stun Trinity. Eco is caught, though. Solar Storm just mows on through. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Trinity is stacking up now. He gets onto the back line. He finds another kill, but it's a 2-for-2 as he gets traded as well. Oh, Denominator, I don't think this game can get any closer.
And again, this is literally what we said at the beginning of this series, is these teams are going to be so evenly matched. The first game with Demon on the Baron did go pretty heavily in the favor of Misfits. I was actually pretty surprised it went so heavily. I think that was based around the compositions that were built, though. Game number 2, back and forth all game. Game number 3 has, been pretty much the same. One team picks off some kills, the next team picks off some kills. We are dead even on the gold, sitting at 32k each. So, no gold advantage yet, and now Kraken is on the board, so the next fight could be a chance to push something objectively.
So, with these objectives being the focus that really needs to come through, neither team has really been able to put much emphasis on the objectives because these fights have been so close. Every time it's either narrowly avoiding going down or trading evenly, and nothing really results from those sorts of trades in terms of objective play. It just ends up being more posturing for position, trying to get yourself farmed up, trying to deny what you can from your opponents. Misfits doing a good job of at least taking control of the vision game, popping out a lot of these scout traps. Still a few left, but most of them are, actually all of them are now on the intensity side of the map, so Misfits don't have to be quite as concerned about those just yet. Drifting Dark gets used. Kaz not going to have that available for a little while. Let's see if Misfits try and take advantage, knowing that cooldown is down. Trinity is going to block out the Merciless Pursuit. A nice fearsome shade, though, comes through. Core Collapse does hit onto Plot, but now they've got a lot of damage onto Zax and Eco. Can they find the kills? Demon's still very healthy, but low on energy. It doesn't look like Intensity want to keep chasing this, though. They very nearly got themselves a few kills, but again, not really going to amount to much as a result. Maybe they can push in, try and take a sentry. Maybe they can start the Kraken. It is going to be the Kraken that they try to go for. Very risky, because again, all 3 members are alive on the side of Misfits. They just had to recall for some health and energy. And so they immediately canceled that decision.
They do, again, that vision game that they have going on here. They've seen Eco coming in, and then unaware of where Demon and Zax were, they do just decide to back off. This game has been pretty awesome, over and over again, and this is really where the game starts to get incredibly exciting for the captains to me. We have an Echo completed on both Eco and on Plot, so we'll have double Fearsome Shade as well as the double Blast Tremor, so lots of crowd control to block here in this game. Misfits is rotating down to the jungle, looking to pick up probably some infusions. Demon does get the Halcyon Chargers now, so that gives him an opportunity to manage his energy a little bit better. The Crucible is burned on the Oblivion, though, and that is going to be one dead Catherine.
And it's definitely first kill coming through for quite some time. Plot is very low. Kaz eats so much damage from that Solar Storm, but the Fountain comes out. That's going to get him healing up. Trinity trying to take this fight, will take down Zax. It's just Demon left, but they're not going to commit to it. They're too low to do so. A couple of Helios would have spelled disaster. So it's 2 kills, but because they were so low on the side of Intensity, they just have to recall. And again, will not gain anything off of this, but perhaps gaining confidence in the fact that they are able to win these fights. And if they could just find that final kill, they could then make some serious progress into the base, or in towards the base of Misfits. Kraken is going to get started up here, but it's very close to going over. Here comes the side of Misfits. Can they steal this away? No, they're not going to be in time. Kraken goes over. The Blast Tremor did prevent the Kraken buff heal, though. And that could be big for Misfits if they can look to turn this around. Trinity taking a lot of damage, has to Sonic Zoom away. And now Misfits have an opportunity to get a lot of damage onto the Kraken. If Intensity comes to contest them, they're starting very low on health. Trinity and Plot both around 50% health, even lower now as that Supernova comes through. And now there's going to be Fearsome Shade thrown out, gets blocked, but the silence will connect. And now Trinity going to be getting a lot of damage onto Zax, trying to take him out, will find the kill. This is Intensity looking for the fight. However, Demon takes out Plot with a huge Solar Storm. Demon trying to get away, but is not going to be able to do so. He will get chased down and killed. And with Kraken on this tier 2 turret, Kaz going to rotate back up, just Eco alive to try and stop this. This should be the choke point turret falling as well. Intensity are taking down Misfits. They just need one more push, one more team fight victory. You got to figure that should be enough for them, but they are definitely the ones in the driver's seat right now. Denominate seems to have been lost to the ether once again, but this is now the Kraken getting cleaned up. Did take down those 2 turrets though, so overall net gold gain for Intensity, but more importantly perhaps, they got themselves that choke point turret down, and they are just 2 turrets and a crystal away from upsetting Misfits and knocking them out of the VIS Challengers and moving on to the playoffs. Denominate. This is absolutely insane. This game is so close and so intense.
This game has been absolutely amazing, especially for Intensity. They found a lot of really good fights here. Kaz drops the Drifting Dark, gets a lot of splash damage.
Big Drifting Dark, Malice and Verdicts are connecting. They've got Eco feared. That's the kill without using a fountain. And now they can continue this chase, trying to get onto Demon. Another fear comes out. It connects onto Zax. Demon with a big Solar Storm is going to be enough for 1, but that's all it's going to get as the ace comes through. Trinity and Kaz surviving. They take out the Sentry just for good measure with 40-second death timers, 30 seconds on Eco. How much work can they get done? I don't think they'll have enough to end the game, but they're getting these ace buff minions in here with them to help push onto these final 2 turrets. This is going to be insane. The final push, perhaps. They're going to try and end this, maybe. They've gotten 1 turret down. They're going to try and delay the turrets falling to limit the amount of cooldown. Trinity wants to end it, but Kaz was walking away. That could be detrimental, but it looks like Trinity has enough damage with the Drifting Dark coming through. That's going to do it. Intensity have taken down Misfits and eliminated the number 4 seed from the Challengers.
What a amazing upset for Intensity. They are going to be moving on to the playoffs here in the VIS Challenger Series. So looking to hopefully come in and get that number 1 spot. Again, they had a very, very good performance against Echo Fox earlier. They did drop down into the losers bracket, but picking up a win here does move them on to the next round, Bacon.
Yeah, guys, this was a massive upset with pretty big implications. Now, we are in split number 2, so, the stakes are a little bit higher as far as trying to get that number 1 seed versus the top 3 seeds. But, Misfits, unfortunately, man, going into a matchup that, when you look at the teams that were dropping down today, this is one of the better teams in this group. Intensity has had that streak of showing up at certain matches and just absolutely, performing at a high level. And of course, PvP Trinity, he came in absolutely huge today. I mean, he was playing very well, but Kaz has been that sub that has stepped up into this split and just stunned everybody. This roster is no joke. No joke at all. And just like that, Group A has come to a close. This is wrapping up. We're going to take a quick look at all the results, of course, that have taken place here as we break down all the games. Looking at here at the winners bracket, we do see it is Echo Fox and Vision Gaming moving on. Misfits, unfortunately, just not able to get out of the elimination bracket after getting knocked down by a massive upset not the way they wanted to, of course, end this split here the summer season, which has been a rough season to say the least. With that matchup, when we take a look at the elimination round, we're getting some of these updated as we speak, but we could say that Intensity, of course, will be qualified for the playoffs, and we are waiting on the results from Tilted, Rehab, and Infinity Rebirth in just a few minutes. With that, everybody, we do want to say thanks for coming out and watching. We've got Group B that's in store for you guys tomorrow. You're not going to miss it. We'll be back here at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, with more action as we finish up the group stages here at the VIS Challengers for split number 2. Everything's on the line. These teams looking to get to the championship. The first ever Regional Challenger Championship will be taking place here at the live finals this summer. So everything is on the line for these teams if they want to make it. We want to thank everyone for coming out, watching. Make sure you guys hit the follow. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.